My husband of 35 years, on his deathbed, clutched my hand with bitter resentment. Why didn't you give that university spot to Yu Yun back then? If you'd just yielded to her, she wouldn't have been violated. Tears streamed from the corners of his eyes. Lin Miao, when I die, bury me beside Yu Yun. In this life, I couldn't be Yu Yun's husband. In the next, I'll make it up to her. Through my tears, I began to laugh. Do you really love her that much? A tear rolled down Li Jianen's cheek. Yes, with all my heart. If there's a next life, I'll make sure we end up together. When I opened my eyes again, I'd been reborn. This time, I'll make his wish come true, otherwise, I'd be betraying my miserable past life. Lin Miao, give your university recommendation spot to Yu Yun, consider it repayment for her saving my life. We're already engaged, what's the point of you going to college now? When I opened my eyes again, Li Jianen was clutching my hand pleadingly. Heat and anxiety beaded his forehead with sweat. Sweat droplets glistened on his hairline, accentuating his handsome features. In 35-degree heat, Li Jianen intercepted me on the road. All for Yu Yun, he groveled shamelessly for that educated youth girl he fancied. In my past life, I firmly rejected his request. Why should the recommendation go to her? I earned this opportunity through my own merits. Besides, it was Yu Yun saved, not me. Why should I be the one making sacrifices? Those words made Li Jianen resent me for the rest of his life. Yu Yun was an educated youth sent to work in the production brigade. She was tall and strikingly beautiful, often wearing form-fitting clothes that accentuated her curves. The young men in the brigade couldn't take their eyes off Yu Yun, practically drooling over her. But Yu Yun was exceedingly aloof. Among the young men, Li Jianen was the only one she'd treat with any kindness. Once, the production team organized a tree-felling expedition up the mountain. Suddenly, a wind picked up. The falling tree came crashing toward Li Jianen, but at the critical moment, Yu Yun shoved him out of harm's way. After this incident, their bond grew stronger. In my past life, I turned down Li Jianen's request and went to college instead. Yu Yun had no choice but to keep working with the production team, unable to bear seeing Yu Yun suffer in the countryside. Li Jianen turned to his uncle for help. His uncle was the brigade secretary who controlled the approval of urban return quotas for educated youth. Li Jianen went through hell and high water for Yu Yun. After tremendous effort, he finally secured an urban return quota for Yu Yun. On the eve of returning to the city, Yu Yun showed her gratitude to Li Jianen by inviting him to an open-air movie in the neighboring village. Little did they know, on their way back, Yu Yun was dragged into a sorghum field and violated by local hoodlums. Li Jianen was also knocked unconscious and injured. The trauma left Yu Yun mentally disturbed and rendered her infertile. After graduating from university, I married Li Jianen. Before college, I worked as a barefoot doctor in my village. Due to my outstanding performance, I was recommended for the Worker Peasant Soldier University program. During university, I majored in medicine. After graduation, I joined the local health bureau. After marriage, I used my connections to transfer Li Jianen to head the agricultural station in our commune. Later, I helped him attend night school to further his education, which led to his transfer to the Municipal Agricultural Bureau. By the time Li Jianen retired, he had risen to become director of the Agricultural Bureau. We bought a home and settled down in the city. After moving to the city, Li Jianen rekindled his affair with Yu Yun. After marriage, Yu Yun suffered domestic violence from her husband due to infertility. Feeling sorry for her, Li Jianen pulled strings to get Yu Yun a job at his agricultural bureau. In my past life, I always believed Li Jianen merely pitted Yu Yun's plight out of compassion. That's why I treated Li Jianen with leniency as well. Just days after Yu Yun's death, Li Jianen fell gravely ill. The bitterness in Li Jianen's dying moments made me realize the truth. He didn't just sympathize with Yu Yun, he loved her. From start to finish, I've been nothing but a colossal joke. I deeply regret helping Li Jianen secure that job. Even more, I regret assisting his academic advancement and paving his way into officialdom. My greatest regret was urging my husband to seek high office. After gaining power, he'd skip coming home every other day, always claiming work kept him busy. Truth was, he'd be with Yu Yun in their love nest, tangled in passion. Fine then, this lifetime, I'll let them have their way. Lin Miao, I'm begging you, give your university spot to Yu Yun. Seeing my prolonged silence, Li Jianen couldn't hide his growing anxiety. He kept shaking my arm, pleading desperately. She's just a delicate city girl. Country life would be too hard for her. Consider it charity. Just help her out, won't you? I wrenched my hand free from his grip. He says Yu Yun is delicate, but I'm clearly thinner than her. to a scumbag. Every woman looks vulnerable, whoever he pities becomes his damsel in distress. After a moment's thought, I said, I can give her my college spot, but on one condition. Li Jianen's eyes lit up. It was that exhilarated glow of getting exactly what he wanted. Lin Miao, what are your terms? To avoid raising his suspicions about my rebirth, I deliberately paused, putting on a thoughtful expression before saying, isn't your uncle the brigade secretary? I need 2 blank introduction letters with the brigade's official seal. Li Jianen immediately became alert. Lin Miao, what are you up to? You're not using that letter of introduction for something shady, are you? I put on a stern face. What kind of trouble could I possibly make? I'm the barefoot doctor of this village, and a party member. You think I lack political awareness like you do? Li Jianen flushed crimson. He knew exactly what I meant. Li Jianen was the brigade's veterinarian, responsible for the health and safety of all livestock in the brigade. He was a man who couldn't live without meat. During the 1970s, when living standards were low, he began entertaining crooked ideas. To get meat, he would deliberately suffocate newborn lambs during deliveries, then take the dead lambs home to stew. After I caught him, he begged me not to tell anyone, otherwise, he'd lose his job as a veterinarian. With dirt on him, he had no choice but to agree. Don't worry, I'll definitely get it for you. Hand me the recommendation letter first, then I'll transfer the spot to Yu Yun. In my past life, only when Li Jianen was dying did I realize I'd been the fool all along. This time around, I won't waste another thought on marrying him. He's petty, short-sighted, and can't see the bigger picture, not to mention his wandering eyes. In my past life, I was blind as a bat, mistaking a piece of pig shit for gold. Better to make a clean break now than become bitter enemies later. It's 1976 now. The only way to attend university was through tiered recommendations from production brigades and communes. They called them worker peasant soldier students. In my previous life, during my second year of college in 1977, the National College Entrance Examination System was reinstated. Both Yu Yun and Li Jianen took the first reinstated Gaokao that year, but neither made the cut. With memories from my past life, I voluntarily gave my worker peasant soldier university quota to Yu Yun in this lifetime. Since Li Jianen is so smitten with Yu Yun, I'm determined to play matchmaker for them. Do they really think they'll be happy without me standing in their way? I'll grab my popcorn and watch their little drama unfold. Yu Yun started flaunting everywhere after securing the recommendation spot. My parents eventually heard from neighbors that I'd given up the recommendation. My mother pinched my arm hard and burst into loud sobs. Stubborn girl, are you out of your mind? That was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you hadn't excelled, it wouldn't have been offered to you. My father puffed on his long-stemmed tobacco pipe, keeping his head down in silence. He knocked the pipe bowl against the edge of the heated brick bed a few times and cursed. Li Jianen is such a scoundrel. Using marriage to threaten you, sweetheart. If this marriage bothers you, I'll have the matchmaker call it off. I held my father's hand and reassured them with a smile, but calling off the engagement isn't the solution right now. Mom, Dad, I'll make Li Jianen pay for the shame he brought upon us soon enough. Just wait and see, this is going to be good. Seeing how optimistic I was, my parents finally relaxed. News of Yu Yun becoming a worker peasant soldier college student spread like wildfire. She was the center of attention for a time. More men began to covet her, yet she grew even more aloof, only associating with Li Jianen. Li Jianen also forgot about his fiancée, crossing boundaries in his interactions with her. Gradually, rumors began to circulate. I bought some study materials in town and started preparing for next year's college entrance exams. In the past, worker peasant soldier students recommended by the commune had no choice in which school they attended. If I take next year's exams, I can choose my preferred university based on merit. I've been secretly reviewing my coursework to prepare for the exams. Li Jianen and Yu Yun were practically joined at the hip. My father was building cattle pens for the production team when he saw Li Jianen pulling Yu Yun into the storage shed with his own eyes. When he came back, my father was so furious it made him ill. I calmed my dad down, telling him to keep his cool. The more they rush, the sooner they'll crash and burn. We'll just sit back and watch the show. Another time, I happened to see Jianenli and Yunyu walking hand in hand to the commune theater. Jianenli said sheepishly that he'd just run into Yun by chance, asking me not to read too much into it. I couldn't be bothered to listen to his excuses and walked away. The next day, Li Jianen brought me a jar of vanishing cream. Lin Miao, I got this for you specially when I was in town for a meeting. The shop assistant said this fragrance is most popular with girls. I opened the lid, Only half the jar of vanishing cream remained, as if someone had scooped out the other half. No need to guess, Yu Yin must have used the rest, but Li Jianan just dropped it and bolted. I turned around to return it to old Mrs. Li. The Li family must have heard plenty about their son's affairs. They sent a matchmaker to our home, proposing to arrange my marriage with Jianan Li before the Lunar New Year. My parents said they needed more time to think it over. Our hesitation made the Li family uneasy. They gave Li Jianan a stern talking to, and he kept quiet for a few days afterward. Young love burns like dry tinder. Once ignited, it's hard to extinguish. I treated the villagers' ailments. On the way back, I caught Li Jianan and Yu Yun in a compromising embrace in the grove at the village outskirts. Clothes were strewn across the floor as the two pale figures writhed together in a tangled heap. My loud cough startled them, sending both collapsing limply to the ground. Yu Yun shoved Li Jianan aside, grabbed her clothes to cover her face, and bolted. Li Jianan lay there dazed, still lost in the moment he recognized me. He snapped out of his daze. Lin Miao, just now, I had this dream. His eyes darted nervously as he stammered, went to Team 6 tonight for mare insemination. The foreman made me dinner, had a few swigs of that gut-rot liquor, then passed out when I got back. Somehow I ended up here. Li Jianan's shamelessness knew no bounds, lies rolling off his tongue effortlessly. I couldn't be bothered with his excuses and teased him with a knowing smirk. At least it's horse insemination. Better than human insemination. They keep taking advantage of my good nature. Walking all over me again and again. Even the most patient person would run out of tolerance. Enough is enough. This crosses the line. Li Jianan threw on his clothes haphazardly and offered to carry my medical kit. I dodged aside and smashed the medical kit hard against his head. Caught completely off guard, he collapsed instantly. In an instant, his head was bleeding profusely as he lost consciousness. I yanked down his pants and tore open his shirt, exposing the hickeys on his neck and scratch marks on his chest. I grabbed the medical kit and ran home, shouting as I ran, "Help, Li Jianan has collapsed in the grove at the village entrance." That day, the woods were bustling with activity. Li Jianan became the zoo's main attraction, gawked at by all the neighbors. Knowing he was in the wrong, he didn't dare make a scene. He just claimed he'd had too much to drink, took a tumble, and blacked out. Li Jianan's head was split wide open. It took him over 10 days to recover enough to show his face in public. On the very first day out, "You came to my house making a scene, Lin Miao. I never thought you could be so vicious. How dare you hit your own husband, and you had to call the whole village to come laugh at me. Was that really necessary? Isn't this just your way of forcing me to set a wedding date with you? I'll do exactly the opposite of what you want. I'm telling my parents to call off the engagement. I wouldn't dare marry a shrew like you, Lin Miao. I curse you to die an old maid. Even after marriage, you'll get beaten 3 times a day by your husband. Might as well die already." I crossed my legs casually and retorted, "Go ahead, tell your parents, I'll be waiting. Whoever doesn't call off this engagement is a coward." The Li family parents were reasonable people. They'd heard the neighborhood gossip, combined with Jianan's disgraceful behavior in the grove that day. Even the most doting parents could piece together what had happened. Far from calling off the engagement, they invited our whole family over. The Li family was eager to set a wedding date for me and Jianan. They took advantage of Mr. Li's birthday celebration to prepare a lavish feast. Though my parents held reservations about the lease, they reluctantly agreed to attend after my persistent pleading. Dinner was ready, but Jianan still hadn't returned home. I went looking for Jianan at the production brigade, but instead ran into Yun. Yun was carrying an aluminum lunchbox and a net bag full of apples. When she saw me, she raised an eyebrow with a smile. "Dr. Lin, Jianan mentioned you two were discussing wedding dates today. What bad timing. There's a cow in labor at the production team, so Jianan has to stand night watch." Seeing my silence, Yun waved the lunchbox in her hand. "I've cooked for Jianan. I'll keep him company during the night watch. These apples are so sweet, I had someone specially get them for Jianan." Lin Miao, "Did you ever buy any for Jianan?" I smirked mockingly. "I would buy them, for someone who deserves it." I disdainfully poked at the apples in her mesh bag. "Are these apples clean? I smell something fishy. Did you trade something shady for them?" Yu Yun's face darkened as she snatched the net bag and stormed off. In my past life, I held no grudge against Yu Yun. In fact, I pitied her misfortunes. It wasn't until Li Jianan became bureau chief and set up his mistress that I realized Yu Yun wasn't innocent either. There are no innocent parties here, both of them are rotten to the core. Turns out Yu Yun's holier-than-thou act was all a facade. she only latches onto people who can benefit her. To secure a transfer back to the city, she once offered sexual favors to Li Jianen's uncle. I was surprised when I saw the two of them emerging from the sorghum field. Uncle Li Jianen was the brigade secretary, and Li Jianen was his nephew. Both were people who could help her. Nowadays, most folks in the brigade know about Yu Yun's questionable lifestyle, only that clueless fool Li Jianen treats her like she's some precious treasure. Dream on. Yu Yun didn't let me see Li Jianen, so I came back. We just told Li's parents that Jianen was keeping night watch over the cow. By the time we finished eating, Jianen still hadn't returned. Putting down my chopsticks, I offered to bring Jianen his dinner. Mrs. Li was overjoyed and kept praising in front of my parents. Lin Miao is such a sensible girl. From now on, that rascal Jianen will be under her care. I left with the lunchbox, making sure to call the family's little yellow dog along. My parents and the Li sat together drinking tea, discussing this year's harvest from the production team while waiting for my return. When I arrived at the brigade headquarters, I headed straight to the cattle pen. The cow was lying on the ground with the calf's head already visible, but there was no sign of Li Jianen. I tiptoed to the duty room and signaled Xiao Huang to keep quiet. Grunting noises were coming from inside the duty room. Yun, when will you say yes to my proposal? I can't wait any longer, don't rush. You're still engaged to Lin Miao. We can marry after I graduate, it's not too late. Li Jianen panted heavily. This sneaking around has to stop. I want to be with you openly. Yu Yun cooed back to him. Darling, a wife can't compare to a concubine, and a concubine can't compare to a secret affair. Isn't this so thrilling? Anyone could guess what those shameless lovers were up to. I entered the kitchen, stuffed straw into the stove to light it, then pulled it out and tossed it into the firewood pile. I whispered to Xiao Huang again, telling him to hurry home and get help. Understanding me, Xiao Huang immediately turned and ran toward home. The fire in the kitchen suddenly flared up. I deliberately tossed a burning bundle of straw in front of the duty room, blocked the escape route of those bastards, then shouted at the top of my lungs, "Fire! Call the fire brigade, soon." The little yellow dog came running with my parents and the Li family. Along with many villagers from the neighborhood, Li Jianen and Yu Yun were trapped inside, choking and screaming from the thick smoke. 3. Help! Somebody help us! As the sound of approaching footsteps grew louder, I collapsed unconscious on the floor. My mother cried out desperately, "Save Lin Miao quickly, she's passed out from the smoke." Someone was pressing my philtrum. The pain was unbearable. I couldn't keep pretending and had to slowly open my eyes. As I came to, I heard someone say, "Thank goodness for Lin Miao, otherwise, not only would the house have burned down, but everyone inside would have perished." At this point, those two might as well have burned to death. What a disgrace. Lin Miao, wake up, we need you to save them. I struggled to open my eyes. Mother Li rushed over and helped me sit up. Lin Miao, get up quick, Jianen's life depends on you. I was practically carried by everyone into another room. Li Jianen and Yu Yun were stacked like human pyramids, their bodies still tangled together. The room was packed with onlookers, most just there for the spectacle. Lin Miao, look at this, they're stuck together. Mrs. Li sobbed while speaking. What sin have I committed to deserve such disgrace? Seeing their shameful state, I burst into tears and lunged at Li Jianen. You bastard, how could you betray me like this? We're supposed to be getting engaged tonight, and instead of coming home, you're here cheating on me. I can't go on living like this. I started pounding on Li Jianen's head furiously, took the opportunity to scratch Yu Yun's face and chest a few times. Everyone urged me to calm down. Lin Miao, we'll deal with other matters later, save them first. Wiping away tears with a sob, I said, this is a stroke, very difficult to treat. Even if cured, it'll cost nearly 1,000 yuan, otherwise, you should go to the county hospital. I'm not going. Li Jianen's face turned purple-red like liver. He said in a muffled voice, Mom, give her the money to treat me, just get me separated from Yu Yun, that's all I ask. Yu Yun squeezed her eyes shut, playing dead, as if by closing her eyes to others, she could make herself invisible to them. 800 per person. I made an outrageous demand up front, payment first, no exceptions. Now, Li Jia's parents were frantic with anger, laced with humiliation. They agreed to every condition I laid out. With their own funds running short, Li's father rushed out to borrow money. After borrowing from everyone I knew, I finally scraped together 1,600 yuan. The two were tangled together like maggots. When the audience had their fill of gawking, I began my act. I put on gloves and pressed every pressure point on their bodies. They held in agony like wounded animals. after nearly half an hour of struggle, they finally parted ways. I wiped away fresh tears. Aunt Lee. With Jianan acting like this, our marriage is clearly not going to happen. He and Yu-yun are so deeply in love I should step aside for them. I don't want it. The villagers all chimed in. That's right, Li Jianan was completely out of line in this matter. The Li family is clearly in the wrong. Lin Miao is such a fine girl. She absolutely shouldn't marry Li Jianan. The Li parents were scolded until their faces burned with shame. Old man Li's lips trembled with rage as he said. Our Li family was at fault first. Consider the betrothal gifts to Lin Miao forfeited. Back during the engagement, the Li family gave me 200 yuan and a 28-inch bicycle. Even if they demanded it back, I wouldn't return a penny. At least they had some conscience by refusing it. Just like that, my marriage arrangement with Li Jianan fell through. With 1,600 yuan in hand, I bought several single-story houses in the city's pedestrian street. Waiting for the post-reform relocation and high-rise construction, I'm going to make my parents landlords collecting rent. I took Li Jianan for a hefty sum, and it felt like sweet revenge. Li Jianan and Yu-yun are openly together now. In public, they're always all over each other, clinging like glue. The villagers were gossiping about me. Li Jianan even came to flaunt in my face, bragging about marrying a college-educated wife. He mocked me, saying, "A country barefoot doctor like you could never measure up to my wife." I looked at him with amused eyes. Save your bragging until she actually becomes your wife. After the sudden death scandal, the Li family parents were so ashamed they'd walk with heads bowed and avoid people. Li Jianan wore his disgrace like a badge of honor. He pressed his parents to propose marriage to Yu-yun, but Yu-yun wouldn't commit, saying they should wait until after college. The Li family thought Yu-yun had poor character and didn't want such a daughter-in-law. They made excuses about medical debts from treating their illnesses, saying they should wait until their finances improved. Li Jianan quarreled with Yu-yun and his parents over the engagement arrangement. The constant bickering turned the household upside down, leaving no peace day after day. Yu-yun left for college. When summer came, she returned to her own home, sensing the urgency. Li Jianan personally went to the Yu household to bring Yu-yun back. The college-educated Yu-yun was a completely different person from her former self during the rural assignment. She'd cover her nose in disgust at roadside cow dung, complaining about the foul-smelling countryside environment. She looked down on hoe-carrying farmers for their rustic appearance, wrinkling her nose at their sweaty odor. She seemed to have completely forgotten those years she spent in the countryside. That summer, Yu-yun secretly went to the hospital for an abortion behind Li Jianan's back. When Li's mother found out, a full-blown family feud erupted. Li Jianan slapped Yu-yun across the face, cursing at her. "You said you wanted to go to college, so I stole Lin Miao's admission spot for you. Every penny for your education came from my family's pocket. How could you abort the Li family's bloodline? Have you no humanity?" Yu-yun finally showed her true colors, sobbing as she retorted. "We're from completely different worlds. Can't you see we don't even speak the same language? Li Jianan, it's over between us." Li Jianan bristled with rage. "Break up, over my dead body. Give me back my college admission spot. Pay back every penny I spent on you, with interest." Li Jianan grew angrier as he spoke, grabbing Yu-yun by the hair and demanding, "Tell me the truth, have you found someone else? Are you seeing someone at college?" Yu-yun held in pain. "Li Jianan, you're as crude as a donkey. What woman would ever want you? This is domestic violence. Do you realize that, if you can't treat me gently, I'm breaking up with you? Used me and now want to break up? That's not your call." Li Jianan burned with the fury of betrayal. "I'll report you to the school. Getting pregnant out of wedlock and having an abortion. You even stole Lin Miao's admission spot. I'll make sure they expel you." The two grappled violently, their hair disheveled and faces bloodied from the brawl. Afraid Li Jianan might actually report her to the school, Yu-yun had no choice but to swallow her pride and apologize. The two made up as if nothing had happened. When I heard this gossip from the neighbors, I nearly burst with silent laughter. In their past life, Li Jianan had always carried a torch for Yu-yun. Little did he know, the feeling wasn't mutual. Yu-yun had been using him all along, treating him as nothing more than a stepping stone. Later, Li Jianan became the bureau chief, gaining both wealth and influence. Ostracized by her in-laws and left with nowhere to turn, Yu-yun had no choice but to reappear before Li Jianan. To Li Jianan, Yu-yun remained his unattainable white moonlight, the one he loved but could never have. He secretly bought a house for Yu-yun behind my back, and the two of them started an affair. As the lawful wife, I was ironically the last to discover their infidelity. In this lifetime, Yu Yun became a college student while Li Jianan remained just a rural veterinarian. Their social standings were worlds apart. After leaving the countryside, Yu Yun looked down on Li Jianan even more. To make matters worse, Li Jianan was hopelessly love-struck, completely one-sided infatuation. Watching these two snakes bite each other's tails this lifetime cured my pent-up frustration. This isn't over yet, I'll keep fanning the flames. Watching Li Jianan end up with nothing but broken dreams and mutual destruction. In 1977, China reinstated the national college entrance exams. Ambitious youths rushed to sign up as soon as the news broke. Li Jianan registered too. He wanted to get into Yu Yun's school so they could be together like lovebirds. After breaking off the engagement with Li Jianan, things became awkward between our families. When I went to the brigade for my recommendation letter, Li Jianan's uncle deliberately gave me a hard time. I knew this day would come eventually after calling off the engagement. Those 2 blank recommendation letters Li Jianan gave me finally came in handy. The college entrance exam results were released. I was admitted to Peking Tsinghua University's clinical medicine program as the top scorer in our county, but Li Jianan failed to make the cut on results day. The county education bureau came to my house with drums and gongs to deliver the good news. That's when Li Jianan finally realized I'd also taken the entrance exams. He made a special trip to my house and pressed me. I never asked my uncle to write you a recommendation letter. How did you register for the exams? Mind your own business. I swung the broom at Li Jianan. Get out. Neither you nor your dog is welcome in my house. Li Jianan shouted while running away. Lin Miao. You cut corners and falsified records. I'm reporting you to the education bureau. I hurled stones at him while shouting, if I don't report you, I'm a damn coward, may my whole family die. Li Jianan made such a public fuss that the Education Bureau launched an investigation. Officials went straight to the commune and retrieved my letter of introduction through bureaucratic channels. When the letter was placed before Li Jianan, he was completely silenced. During winter break, I went back home. My parents told me Li Jianan quit his job as a vet and moved near Yu Yun, renting a place close to the university. He planned to study and retake the exam next year, but Yu Yun kept avoiding him. The Li family parents fell ill from anger and personally went to bring Jianan Li back home. On my way home, I ran into the Li family parents in the village, acting as if nothing had happened. I sweetly greeted them with uncle and auntie as usual. Seeing that I didn't treat them differently despite their circumstances, the Li family parents got emotional, their eyes turning red. Just 2 days later, they sent matchmaker Aunt Li to my door again, trying to convince me to reconcile with Jianan. My parents flatly refused. Jianan came to find me and apologized. He kept slapping his own face while speaking. Lin Miao, I'm sorry, I was a complete jerk. Too blind to see your worth, that bitch Yu Yun played me for a fool. You won't look down on me now, will you? He was sobbing uncontrollably with genuine remorse. It made me sick to my stomach, but I had to put on a show of sympathy. I choose men based on character, not social status. You're not good enough for Yun now. She's probably found someone better at school, but study hard this year, get into her college next year, and you two can pick up where you left off. Wishing you a lifetime of happiness together. I genuinely want to bring them together. To help Li Jianan fulfill his past life wish, I'm even more curious to see how things would turn out if they got together. But after his parents brainwashed him, Li Jianan still thinks I'm the better choice. He wants to rekindle our old flame. There's no way I'll let him have his way. Li Jianan caught the implied meaning in my words and bristled like a startled cat. I knew it, that bitch Yu Yun must be seeing someone else. Lin Miao. Don't worry, I'll cut all ties with her for good. How dare she cheat on me? She'll pay for this. In my past life, when he cheated on me, I wonder if he ever considered my feelings. Now that it's Yu Yun's turn to cheat on him, suddenly he can't take it. Truth be told, Yu Yun cheated on him plenty in our past life too. He just never found out. Yu Yun leveraged her good looks, habitually trading on her charms to get what she wanted. She died a few days before Li Jianan. Her death was equally disgraceful. Through Li Jianan, she became acquainted with a city official. She had an affair with her boss to extort money from him. Being advanced in years, he died of a sudden stroke during their illicit encounter. Li Jianan was away on business those days and didn't know Yu Yun's exact cause of death. That day, I was on duty at the hospital. To protect the leader's reputation, the news was suppressed within the hospital. In this lifetime, when I caught Jianan Li and Yunyu in a compromising situation at the brigade's duty room, I deliberately set the kitchen on fire to startle them. The sudden death was also inspired by my past life's experience. I gave them more words of advice and encouraged Jianan to keep striving, assuring them they'd eventually become a proper couple. With my instigation, Li Jianan became even more convinced that Yu Yun was seeing another man behind his back. Not long after the semester began, tragedy struck the Li family. Yu Yun was violated at school. She lost a dangerous amount of blood and her fertility, eventually dropping out after being discharged from the hospital. This time, Yu Yun took the initiative to return to the Li household, intending to marry Li Jianan. Li Jianan flatly refused. Yu Yun then fetched a hemp rope and draped it over the Li family's roof beam. She threatened to hang herself if Li Jianan wouldn't consent. She kept shouting at the top of her lungs, "I am the rightful daughter-in-law of the Li family." When the storm hit, everyone saw me with Jianan Li. All the villagers can vouch for me. Li Jianan, when times were good, you couldn't stop singing my praises. Now that I'm being wronged, you're trying to weasel out of your promises. With that, she thrust her head toward the noose. Every villain meets their match. Fearing this might turn deadly, the Li family had no choice but to agree. Without engagement, marriage registration, or even a wedding banquet, the couple simply moved in together with 2 quilts. Yu Yun's health deteriorated, and Li Jianan lost his job as a veterinarian. Now, the Li family's only income comes from work points earned in the production team. A year's worth of work points barely amounts to anything, not even enough to cover Yu Yun's medicine. When I came home on vacation again, Li Jianan stopped me. Just as he was about to speak to me, Yu Yun came running out. She grabbed Li Jianan and warned me. "Lin Miao, keep your hands off my Jianan, he's my man now." I frowned in disgust. "Don't worry, I'm not interested in second-hand goods." Yu Yun spat at me contemptuously. "Sour grapes." With that, she grabbed Li Jianan and dragged him away. I shouted at her retreating figure, "You'd better keep Li Jianan on a short leash, or he'll go chasing after other women." The next day before dawn, Li Jianan showed up carrying an old hen. He watched me cautiously. "Lin Miao, this is for you." I chuckled. "You've been studying too hard, this will help you recover." I threw the hen back at him and warned, "If you come again, I'll tell Yu Yun, that shrew won't let you off easy. She won't find out if neither of us tells." Li Jianan moved closer, shoving the hen into my hands. "Lin Miao, this hen's been laying eggs for 3 years at our place. We only slaughtered it to make you nourishing soup. I'm truly apologizing from the heart." I flung the hen at his face. "No one's this nice without an ulterior motive. Get lost." Li Jianan wiped the blood from his face in disarray, brimming with confidence. "Lin Miao, I'll make you see reason." That night, Li Jianan sneaked over again to state his purpose. "Lin Miao, Yu Yun and I never registered our marriage. I've been waiting for you. You'll graduate soon. I'll save up for a few more years. After your graduation, we'll buy a place in the city. My parents have agreed to it." He pulled out a jar of malted milk powder like presenting a treasure to me. "Here, I got these especially for you since I know you've got a sweet tooth." Li Jianan, do you take me for a garbage dump? I'd never met someone so shameless. It made my blood boil. Li Jianan, you disgust me. You just hooked up with Yu Yun because she's pretty. You chased after Yu Yun like a lovesick puppy when she was in college. Now that she's been wronged, you suddenly act all high and mighty. You're worse than an animal. You're downright inhuman. After my scolding, Li Jianan slunk away like a whipped dog. Barely 2 days later, he showed up at my place again. He bought me a pair of red gloves, the hottest style this season. In my past life, Li Jianan also gifted me red gloves. He said it pained him to see me working dawn to dusk treating patients. Worried my hands would get cold. My eyes welled up with happy tears at that moment. Later, I ran into Yun by chance. She was flaunting a red georgette dress everywhere, bragging that Li Jianan bought it for her. Yun mocked me, saying the gloves I wore were her cast-offs. That's when I realized my red gloves were just a freebie with the dress purchase. Yu Yun picked through the leftovers and discarded them, so Li Jianan gave them to me as a favor, and of all things, I actually cried tears of joy. What a fool I was. I threw everything Li Jianan gave me out into the yard. He kept showing up every single day without fail. He didn't stop until school started again. Soon enough, I'll be graduating. The school encouraged us to support frontier development, so I signed up. I was assigned to a military hospital on the frontier. My parents supported my decision too. The spring breeze of reform and opening up swept across the nation. Our family's living conditions kept improving. The single-story house my dad bought downtown on the pedestrian street is undergoing urban redevelopment. He plans to assemble his own construction crew to participate in the redevelopment project. The final vacation before graduation, I ran into Li Jianan when I returned home. his hair turned completely white, and his spirit withered away, a man in his early 20s hunched over like a terminally ill old man. According to my mom, his relationship with Yun grew increasingly strained. Arguments were trivial, they'd frequently escalate into physical fights. Yun was a gluttonous slacker who'd throw tantrums if she went a day without meat. Desperate for meat, she even had an affair with her uncle-in-law, which was discovered by Li Jianan, all because Li Jianan's uncle was the village party secretary who could obtain meat ration coupons. 5. The Li family became the laughingstock of the village once again. After these misfortunes, Li Jianan joined the commune's reservoir construction project. Distracted, he got hit on the head by a falling rock. When he woke up, his hair had turned white overnight. My mother felt rather sorry for him. Frankly, he had it coming. I went up the mountain with Mom to gather firewood while Li Jianan was weeding the fields. When he spotted me, surprise flickered across his face before lighting up with the joy of reunion. I shot him an icy glance. He jolted awake, swiftly turning his back to me. My mother scolded me. What's the harm in greeting our neighbors? We see them every day in this small community. I sneered at Li Jianan's retreating figure. He wanted to marry Yun and live happily ever after. I made that dream come true for him. 1 lifetime wasn't enough, but 2 made it right. May their love last through 3 rebirths. My mother missed the subtext in my words, but Li Jianan froze in his tracks. At dawn the next day, I went to dump the stove ashes outside the courtyard. Li Jianan crouched at my doorstep with his arms crossed, his hair dusted with frost. No telling how long he'd been squatting there. When he saw me, he sprang to his feet. He rose so abruptly that he stumbled and fell flat on his face. As I was dumping the stove ashes into the pit, he stopped me. Lin Miao, you. After a moment's hesitation, he said, I want to apologize to you. A simple sorry could never make up for the pain and betrayal he caused me in our past life. The entire Li family's prosperity was built by Jianan Li, and every step of Jianan's rise to power was thanks to me. I couldn't bear to look at him and walked away immediately. Lin Miao, if there's another life, would you still marry me? I stopped in my tracks and turned to ask him, do you think I'm pathetic? Li Jianan immediately burst into tears. Lin Miao, I'm sorry, you're the last person I ever wanted to hurt. I sincerely apologize to you. If there's a next life, I'd make it up to you. I'm scum, blinded by lust. I betrayed you and broke your heart. I stared at him intently, sensing my doubt. He stammered, after the injury last time, I had a dream where you helped me become the director, but I ended up betraying you. I let out a long sigh. So he had been reborn too. His apology came too late. I won't be waiting around for him. These days after waking up, it finally dawned on me. Every step that led Yun and me to this point was carefully orchestrated by you. But I don't blame you. I brought this on myself. Even without you, Yun and I wouldn't have been happy. I let out a bitter laugh. If there's a next life, try being a decent person for once. When summer ended, I left my hometown to support development in the border regions. Less than 2 weeks later, my mother wrote to say both Li Jianan and Yun had been imprisoned. Li Jianan had a crisis of conscience and turned himself in. He said he wanted to be a better man. He confessed voluntarily that he had hired local thugs to humiliate Yunyu, which led to her becoming infertile for life and dropping out of school. After learning the truth, Yunyu took an axe and severed one of Jianan Li's arms. In their previous life, Jianan Li begged me to bury them together, hoping to unite him and Yunyu in their next incarnation. I made it happen. In the end, they drifted apart on their own. But their affairs no longer concern me. I have more important matters to attend to. I shall dedicate my youth to building our motherland. Story 2. When the impoverished Shen Ming ordered me to give his little childhood sweetheart 30,000 yuan every month, otherwise he wouldn't accept my sponsorship, I knew he had also been reborn. In my previous life, I poured money and resources into making him the richest man in Asia, but he thought he was born to be a domineering CEO. He even condescendingly threatened me. I'm only giving you this one chance, miss it. And even if you kneel down and beg me, it won't work. I immediately stopped his card, bought him a bottle of sleeping pills, and let him be the richest man in his dreams every day. 1. During the big break, Gu Jingqing came to ask me for money, hugging his little childhood sweetheart. He slapped the note with the bank card number on the table and then ordered me, from now on, you transfer 30,000 yuan of living expenses to Wanner's account every month. Suddenly, the people around cast strange glances. They probably had never seen such an arrogant impoverished student asking someone for money without even a word of explanation. I was so angry that I laughed. Why should I? He turned around, with an expression of "how dare you question me," and sneered, "It's just 30,000 yuan. Do you still need a reason? 30,000 yuan can't even buy one of my ties." He raised his chin and was about to fasten his tie, but what he was wearing wasn't some high-end custom-made suit, but a sweatshirt bought online for 500 yuan. Gu Jingqing had been President Gu for too long in his previous life and had actually forgotten that he used to be an impoverished student with less money in his pocket than on his face. In my previous life, I spent money and resources to forcefully make him the richest man in Asia, but he thought he was born to be President Gu. He was used to bossing around his subordinates on weekdays and always spoke to me in a tone of notice and command, but without me, what was he? 30,000 yuan for a tie. Are you daydreaming, Gu Jingqing? Before I sponsored you, you couldn't even afford a 10 yuan boxed meal. I coldly laughed and crumpled the note into a ball, casually throwing it into the trash can. Also, why should I give her living expenses? I'm not her mother. Gu Jingqing's face turned livid. Just as he was about to get angry, Song Shaowan, his little childhood sweetheart, blocked him protectively like a mother hen protecting her chicks. Su Ranran, how can you be so vicious? 30,000 yuan is nothing to you, but it's the living expenses for me and brother Gu for a month. Your family is so rich. Helping us is only natural. Is it necessary to humiliate us like this? After saying that, she herself cried grievously, Brother Gu, even if my mother and I end up on the streets, I won't allow you to put down your dignity and beg her for my sake. Seeing the little childhood sweetheart who was bullied to tears by me, the vicious woman, Gu Jingqing was so that he quickly pulled her into his arms and comforted her softly. In the previous life, Song Shaowan donated a kidney to him. He thought that was true love and also regarded me as a stumbling block on the road of their relationship, but in fact, I paid a high price for that kidney. Song Shaowan raised the price at the last moment before the operation to extort me, which was why the two of them had a chance to meet again. Gu Jingqing embezzled public funds to buy her a villa, luxury cars, and pay off her mother's huge gambling debts. I endured it. I don't stop the reborn Gu Jingqing from rekindling his relationship with her, but he actually wants to continue spending my money to repay Song Shaowan for the kindness of a kidney. Why? Do I look like a big fool? I was so angry that I laughed instead. I took out my phone to notify the school to withdraw the sponsorship for Gu Jingqing. Unexpectedly, he took the initiative to say, Su Ranran, if you don't give her the money, then I don't want your sponsorship either. What kind of threatening tone is this? It seems that his acceptance of my sponsorship is a charity to me, and he also wants me to be grateful. I was really blind in my previous life. How could I like a pretentious man like him who has no destiny of being a domineering CEO but is full of the domineering CEO disease? I found the remittance records I gave him in the past 2 years and endured the nausea. Gu Jingqing, if you're a man with a bit of backbone, return the money you spent of mine. I'll give you a discount. It's a total of 800,000 yuan, 800,000 yuan. I'll pay you back 8 million yuan in 10 years. Gu Jingqing sneered disdainfully and continued to threaten me. However, Su Ranran, listen up, I'm only giving you this one chance. Miss it, and even if you kneel down and beg me, it won't work. I racked my brains but couldn't figure out where his honeydew confidence came from. Could he really think that after he topped the Forbes rich list in 10 years, he could just move his fingers and make my family go bankrupt? It's ridiculous. Does he really think he became the richest man by his own strength? Little does he know that it was all because of my family that he was promoted, provide raw materials, technical support, and connections to a dog, and the dog could also become the richest man. Not only does he not feel grateful, but he also fantasizes that I have to fawn over him like those sycophants. Looking at his sinister looking face as if he was saying, if you don't fawn over me, I'll make you look good in 10 years. I rolled my eyes big time. I found someone to freeze his sponsorship card and wrote an IOU of 800,000 yuan. Gu Jingqing stamped his handprint stubbornly and viciously threw down a harsh word at me. Don't you ever regret it? Then hugged his childhood sweetheart and turned around to leave. I regret it. I regret raising this white-eyed wolf in my previous life. And I'm even more afraid that he'll go back on his word and come to pester me again. ###2. After school, I called the driver to pick me up. Just as I opened the car door, I was pushed hard from behind. I stumbled. If it weren't for a kind-hearted passer-by who helped me, I would have fallen heavily to the ground. Holding back my anger, I fixed my eyes and saw that it was Gu Jingqing. He was pushing the tearful Song Xiaowan into the car, and then he got in himself. The moment he closed the car door, he didn't forget to order me. Wanner's mother was beaten into the hospital by the debt collectors. The situation is not good, you take a taxi back. Then he turned around and ordered the driver, go to the hospital. The driver uncle looked at him like he was a fool, and without saying a word, took out his phone to call the police. Gu Jingqing angrily kicked the back of the passenger seat hard. Drive, if you delay Aunt Song's condition. You can't afford the consequences. The driver uncle calmly took pictures of his criminal evidence, then turned off the engine and got out of the car, directly locking the two of them in the car. Two lunatics suddenly broke into the car, damaged the leather seats, and scared my young lady. I've controlled the two of them. Please, police comrades, come out immediately. I burst out laughing and folded my arms, watching Gu Jingqing show off his domineering CEO air in the car. Sure enough, without me, he was nothing. Song Xiaowan was crying anxiously in the car, which made Gu Jingqing extremely. He took a deep breath and turned to look at me, looking like a warrior sacrificing his dignity for love. Su Ranran, I can accept your sponsorship, but don't fantasize that I'll like you. I don't want Brother Gu to sacrifice so much for me. Song Xiaowan pointed at my nose and cursed. Su Ranran, you actually used such despicable means to force Brother Gu to be with you. Don't even think about it. I will never allow you to humiliate Brother Gu's dignity with money again. Stop talking, Wanner. For you, I'm willing to do anything. Me, does anyone care about my life? I just funded a poor student to repay society. What's wrong with me? Besides, I didn't like Gu Jingqing until 3 years later. Why do the two of them act like star-crossed lovers who have been separated, at this time? The police uncle came and directly invited the two of them out. Gu Jingqing's face was dark as he stared at me and asked, Su Ranran, what do you mean, using this way to attract my attention? You're so childish. I gestured towards my head to the police uncle and whispered, they're mentally ill, it's recommended to send them to the hospital directly. Then, I smiled and told Gu Jingqing, it doesn't mean anything. I just asked the police uncle to send you two to the hospital. The police uncle looked at them suspiciously, dressed shabbily but acting so arrogant and looking down on everyone. They really didn't seem normal. You two want to go to the hospital? Yes, the police uncle suddenly understood. Oh, then get in the car, I'll take you there. As for which hospital they were sent to, I have no idea. Just in the middle of the night when I woke up, seeing 56 missed calls and 99 plus WeChat messages from Gu Jingqing, I knew they didn't go to a proper hospital. Half an hour ago, the last text message Gu Jingqing sent me was, answer my call within 3 minutes, or else bear the consequences. He was having another bout of domineering CEO disease again. I yawned and directly turned off my phone to sleep. ####3. The next day, during the school sports meeting, when I went to the cafeteria to carry water, I saw Gu Jingqing and Song Xiaowan having a meal. I heard that the two of them were locked up in the psychiatric department for a whole night. And finally the school came forward to bail them out. The monitor quietly came up to my ear and complained, I thought they were quite normal before, how did they suddenly get sick? Last night, Gu Jingqing called all the classmates in the class, saying that he was the future richest man. As long as they could gather 500 yuan to ransom him now, he would repay them 100 times in 10 years. This is even more overstep than the last time when the first emperor called to appoint me as a general in a telecom fraud. I sprayed out a mouthful of water directly, so there were more victims than I expected. Last night, my dad and all the managers in the company whose names I could remember received calls from Gu Jingqing. He said he had a cooperation project that was sure to make a fortune, as long as they could get him out of the psychiatric department. My dad was so scared that he held an emergency meeting with Panda Eyes in the morning, speculating whether a hacker had leaked the company's secrets. Otherwise, how could a lunatic call their internal phone numbers? This really can't be blamed on Gu Jingqing. He was an orphan since he was a child and had no relatives to rely on. He finally had a little childhood sweetheart, but her mother was a gambling addict. The two of them had no money at all. So of course they had to target the people around me. This life, I don't want to have any more dealings with them. I wanted to leave, but the monitor excitedly pulled me back, motioning for me to continue watching the show. Gu Jingqing was having another bout of illness again. He held a glass of orange juice in his hand and kept shaking it like he was shaking red wine, looking at the 15 yuan steak in front of him. A sarcastic arc appeared at the corner of his mouth. This kind of trash also dares to be called food, throw it on the ground. And even a dog won't eat it, Brother Gu. I know you look down on this kind of cheap stuff, but you've been hungry for a day, you should at least eat something, Gu Jingqing snorted coldly. Even if I starve to death, this kind of trash doesn't deserve to enter my stomach. The cafeteria owner who was frying the steak had a hot temper. He chopped a knife on the chopping block. You two used a coupon to order the cheapest steak here. It's okay to ask me to give an extra serving of spaghetti, but you're still being picky. Eat if you can, and get out if you can't. What kind of status do you have to talk to me like this? Believe it or not, I can make your store close down with just one phone call. Song Shawan anxiously tried to persuade him. Brother Gu, don't be like this. Their small business is not easy either. The monitor, who had been watching the show the whole time, pinched his thigh hard, but still couldn't help laughing. This laugh didn't matter, and it successfully attracted Gu Jingqing's attention. The moment he looked at me, the hairs on his arms suddenly stood up. I didn't even have time to carry the mineral water. I turned around and ran, but unfortunately, I still didn't escape. I was blocked at the end of the corridor by Gu Jingqing, who was red-eyed and with his hands on his hips. Su ran. You can't afford the price of angering me. I looked up at the sky speechlessly. What kind of sin had I committed to suffer this inhumane torture? What? Are you jealous when you see me with Wanner? You came up with this way to take revenge on me. Su ran. This is all you're capable of. However, I advise you to save it and put away those little tricks to seduce me. I've already made a private engagement with Wanner. It's absolutely impossible for me to be with you. Stay away from us two in the future. If I find out that you have any improper thoughts again, I won't let you go. I tried hard to recall how I fell in love with Gu Jingqing in my previous life. At that time, he wasn't the key person my family was cultivating. There were many people who were more outstanding and promising than him, but I just thought Gu Jingqing was different and extraordinary. Now I find that he's really not a normal person. I interrupted his confident speech and mercilessly exposed him. You're really smart to use this way to skip the bill. Don't think I didn't notice that Gu Jingqing secretly stuffed several pieces of beef into his mouth. He staged such a big show because he didn't have the money to pay for the meal and didn't want to lose face. The cafeteria has a rule that poor students can wash dishes to offset the meal cost, but how could Gu Jingqing, who had been the richest man for a lifetime, lower his face to wash dishes in the back kitchen? Of course, he would push it all to Song Shawan to do, and I was just the best tool person for him to skip the bill. Gu Jingqing, whose thoughts were exposed by me, became angry from embarrassment and punched the wall behind me. I kindly reminded him, there are surveillance cameras here. Dare to touch a single hair of mine, and the money you owe me will double. In 10 years. Don't talk about 10 years. You won't even last 10 days before you starve to death. My naked sarcasm completely hurt Gu Jingqing's sensitive and fragile self-esteem. He let go of me and, in extreme anger, laughed instead. Then let's wait and see. #4. The school sports meeting was undoubtedly the best opportunity for Gu Jingqing to turn things around. On this day, the school would invite business tycoons to visit. Every poor student would actively participate in the competitions. If they performed well, they would be selected to get the opportunity to be sponsored. Gu Jingqing was the long-distance running champion every year, and his academic performance was always in the top 3 in the school. Soon, he attracted the attention of a real estate tycoon. The head teacher immediately pulled Gu Jingqing over and praised him to the skies. Mr. Li, this classmate Gu is a top-notch student who can definitely get into Tsinghua University. Sponsoring him is definitely the right choice. In the previous life, Gu Jingqing did get into Tsinghua University, but he wasn't a good student, but a disaster, the kind that whoever gets involved with him will have bad luck. Mr. Li nodded in satisfaction. Not bad. From now on, our company will sponsor you 5,000 yuan per month until you graduate from university. 5,000 yuan. Gu Jingqing's face immediately fell. Are you humiliating me with 5,000 yuan? Classmate, 5,000 yuan is not a small amount. It's enough for your daily expenses at school. He looked down his nose and sneered sarcastically. The real estate industry is in decline and doesn't have much room for development in the future. I reluctantly accept your sponsorship, but you only give me 5,000 yuan. How can I form a team and do research in the future? I'm different from those poor students who just muddle along and stretch out their hands for money. In the future, I'm going to lead the team to the top of international technology. If you can't afford to sponsor me, then make way for others. After saying that, regardless of Mr. Li's face turning purplish with anger, he turned around and left. The head teacher was furious and called out to him, Gu Jingqing. He turned around, with his hands in his pockets. In the future, don't recommend companies in sunset industries like this to me. The people who sponsor me should at least have a net worth higher than Su Ranran's parents. I will review their qualifications one by one. Those who don't meet the standards have no right to sponsor me. His words made Mr. Li extremely angry. No matter how the principal and the head teacher apologized, he firmly refused to sponsor the poor students in our school anymore. This also directly implicated two other innocent classmates. The twin sisters who had grown up with their grandparents since childhood were so excited that they cried when they heard that a company was willing to sponsor them to go to college, but because of Gu Jingqing's actions, the opportunity was gone, and the two sisters squatted on the ground crying bitterly. I couldn't stand it anymore and stepped forward to comfort them. It doesn't matter, Su's group is willing to sponsor you. Really, is 10,000 yuan per person per month enough? No. No, that's too much. 2,000 yuan for the two of us per month is enough. The two sisters knelt on the ground and kowtowed to me. Thank you, my sister, and I will definitely repay your great kindness after we graduate from college. Look, there are still grateful people in the world. After the school sports meeting, the class held a dinner party. As two penniless parasites, it was no surprise that they came to freeload. Gu Jingqing didn't pay a single cent but sat in the main seat. Being picky about everything, the decoration was bad, the service was bad, and the dishes were bad. He might as well have written the word disdain on his face. The head teacher and the classmates were almost annoyed to death by them. During the day, Gu Jingqing not only angered an investor but also made our class lose 2 medals that we should have won. The reason was that Song Xiaowan fell while doing the long jump and scraped her knee. Gu Jingqing, who was still participating in the relay long distance race, suddenly threw away the relay baton, picked up Song Xiaowan, and rushed into the infirmary. He even threatened the school doctor, if you can't cure her, I'll hold you accountable. Seeing that we all ignored him, Gu Jingqing, who was used to being the center of attention, couldn't sit still. He poured the beer he had taken a sip of directly into the grilled fish plate in front of him. Then tapped his fingers on the table and coldly asked, who chose this place? The taste is so bad. Gu Jingqing knew very well that this restaurant was owned by my family and was deliberately trying to make things difficult for me. The monitor couldn't stand it anymore and retorted, Classmate Gu, we all think this place is very good. Do you have any dissatisfaction? Good, Gu Jingqing sneered. Have you ever seen a really good restaurant? It's a pity that you'll never get to see it in your life. Song Xiaowan also chimed in. Some people are just born with a poor and shabby fate. Brother Gu, don't argue with them. They'll never be able to catch up with you in their lives. One was bragging hard, and the other was flattering hard. The two of them were really a match made in heaven. I held down the monitor's hand, which was shaking with anger, and smiled. The future richest man surely doesn't need us poor people to chip in for the meal, right? Then, I'll trouble the richest man to pay the bill for today's class dinner. I put the bill in front of him, and Gu Jingqing took a look but didn't say anything. I immediately exclaimed, 3,000 yuan is nothing to classmate Gu, right? Not to mention 3,000 yuan, Gu Jingqing couldn't even find 30 yuan on him. He knew I was deliberately belittling him. But for the sake of his richest man face, he took the bill and went out, dragging Song Xiaowan beside him. When they came back, the heirloom jade pendant around Song Xiaowan's neck was gone. She glared at me viciously, as if I was the one who had sold her heirloom to show off. Just then, a group of uninvited guests burst into the party, ###5. Without saying a word, they grabbed Song Xiaowan and dragged her out. Judging from their appearance and attire, they looked like hooligans. And they were swearing foully, your mother owes us usury. If you don't pay it back today, don't blame us brothers for being rude. That's what my mother owes you. Go find her. I'm just a student. I don't have any money. Song Xiaowan's face turned pale with fright, and she tightly grabbed the table corner, refusing to let go. After all, they were classmates. Several boys in the class wanted to save her, but they were forced back by the hooligans brandishing knives. The leader of the hooligans waved Song Xiaowan's student ID in front of her and said that her mother had escaped from the hospital that morning. Before leaving, she left a letter saying that the daughter should pay off the mother's debt and that she was giving Song Xiaowan to them to pay off the debt. I suddenly remembered that in the previous life, Song Xiaowan sold her kidney and even blackmailed me. Presumably, she was also forced by her mother, however. A poor person must have something hateful about them. She should never have killed me in order to cling to Gu Jingqing. This big tree, just as Song Xiaowan was being forcibly dragged away, she suddenly shouted, I have money, I have money, my boyfriend is the future richest man, he promised me that he would definitely pay off the debt for me, future richest man. Seeing that the hooligans didn't believe it, she quickly assured them, really, my boyfriend will be very rich in the future. This little gambling debt is nothing to him, look, he's here. Everyone followed Song Xiaowan's gaze. There was only a poor student in shabby clothes, whose whole outfit was worth less than 2,000 yuan, coming out of the bathroom. He even boasted, her mother only owes you more than 1 million yuan, I'll pay it back for her. Then he turned around and borrowed a pen and paper from the waiter and skillfully wrote down his name, just like signing a check in the previous life. In 10 years, I'll pay you back 10 times the principal and interest. The hooligans laughed angrily and directly tore the IOU into pieces and threw them in Gu Jingqing's face. TSK TSK TSK. I felt embarrassed for him at this scene. Seeing that the hooligans didn't appreciate it, Gu Jingqing singled me out from the onlookers. Su Ran, pay off this money for her, and I'll consider being your boyfriend. Me, I can let you have my person, but my heart will always belong to Wanner, brother Gu. Don't. Gu Jingqing closed his eyes, as if determined to sacrifice himself, and grabbed my shoulders, about to force a kiss. I instinctively slapped him, endured the nausea, and cursed, are you crazy? When did I say I liked you? Gu Jingqing turned his head, poked his swollen left cheek with his tongue, and sneered, pretend all you want. In the previous life, you were crazy about me. Please, when you were reborn, bring some brains with you. Okay, in the previous life, I did like you, but that was also 3 years later. Now I don't know you well, don't come looking for a beating. Sure enough, you also have memories of the previous life. Gu Jingqing wasn't the least bit surprised. After all, the 3 of us died together in the previous life. Since both he and Song Xiaowan were reborn, there was no reason for me to be an exception. That's great, no need for me to prove anything. If you obediently take out the money, in 10 years, I'll ensure the safety of your family, otherwise. You know what the consequences of angering me are. Gu Jingqing had always been vengeful. The first thing he did after becoming the richest man was to get rid of those who had bullied him. But don't forget, without me, you can't become the richest man in this life. Oh, really? ###6. I rolled my eyes helplessly, afraid of getting into trouble. I turned around and quickly fled the scene. Gu Jingqing was still chasing after me, threatening, Su Ran. I promise you will pay a heavy price for your wrong decision today. Later, I heard the story of what happened after I left that day from the monitor. In order to get away, Gu Jingqing told the debt collectors that he had a connection with their boss. In the previous life, their boss had fawned over him to make money, but unfortunately, he didn't take a fancy to him. In this life, as long as they showed him some face and wiped out the debt, in 10 years, he would surely lead them to do business and make a fortune. As a result, they thought he was crazy and directly beat him up. If the monitor hadn't secretly called the police, the 2 of them would have been thrown into the Huangpu River to feed the fish. The monitor directed the classmates to move Gu Jingqing and Song Xiaowan's desks out. He said, these 2 dropped out of school. They said they were going to start a business and make a fortune. I knew about this a few days ago. Gu Jingqing sent me a WeChat message to provoke me, saying that he would soon make me lose everything and asking me if I regretted it in the previous life. If you hadn't brought people to catch us cheating and had turned a blind eye to Wanner's existence, maybe you could have always been the richest man's wife. It's a pity that you just couldn't tolerate her. I replied to him, who do you think you are? You still want to keep a mistress outside. Do you deserve it? Now it seems that Wanner is indeed more suitable to be the richest man's wife than you. Get lost, you gigolo. In the previous life, I knew that Gu Jingqing secretly embezzled public funds to buy a luxury house and cars for Song Xiaowan and that the 2 of them plotted to kill me. I endured it to find the evidence to make him leave the house penniless. After I firmly held the real power, I went to expose the true features of this adulterous couple. At that time, Song Xiaowan was already 6 months pregnant and was racking her brains to force me out. Seeing me come to catch them cheating, she was still looking smug. But when the lawyer announced that Gu Jingqing wouldn't get a single cent, Song Xiaowan couldn't sit still. She secretly turned on the gas in the kitchen and, taking me by surprise, pushed me in, trying to silence me. At the moment before the gas explosion, I dragged the 2 of them in with me, one in each hand. With their 3 lives as my companions in death, no matter how you calculate it, I didn't lose. In this life, I didn't want to have any more dealings with them. But since Gu Jingqing insisted on tearing his face off with me, there was nothing I could do. 3 days later, I went to the business incubation base with my father and saw Gu Jingqing. He dropped out of school and settled here, wanting to replicate the path to success in the previous life. But how could it be that easy? Which company would trust a high school dropout? In the previous life, he had a Tsinghua University degree and my recommendation. He could stand on the podium and tell those busy CEOs his ideas, but in this life, he didn't even have the qualification to enter the door. He even sneaked in by bribing the security guard. Gu Jingqing was extremely proud when he saw me and deliberately hid his business plan behind his back. I won't cooperate with Su's group, no matter who I cooperate with. Su ran, give up. Is it possible that I'm here to invest in someone else? I'm not interested in him at all. #7. In fact, in the previous life, my father valued my senior, Su Yi, the most. He was also a top-notch graduate from Tsinghua University. He was low-key, reliable in handling things, and much more mature in thinking than Gu Jingqing. My father intended to match us up and cultivate him to be the successor. Unfortunately, in the previous life, the person I liked wasn't him. Sui could only reluctantly become the vice president of the group. It can be said that Gu Jingqing was only the richest man in name, while the real person in power of the group was Sui. Because of me, he had been wronged for too long. In this life, I will return the glory that belongs to him. After just half an hour of his speech, my father decided to invest in him. After the event, Sui specifically found me to thank me. I heard that it was your strong recommendation that convinced Chairman Su to come and listen to my speech in person. Thank you. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid I wouldn't have had such a good opportunity. I waved my hand in shame. Actually, I didn't do much. It's just that you're excellent yourself. In the previous life, in order to help Gu Jingqing, I took away this opportunity for Sui to shine. It made him waste several years in an ordinary position. Fortunately, he was hard-working and enterprising enough to seize another opportunity. Otherwise, I would have been guilty. This time, I returned the opportunity to him, and Sui quickly made great progress in his career and became my father's right-hand man. I also successfully got into Tsinghua University and entered Suyi's research team. Later, Song Xiaowan specifically came to the school to find me and showed off in front of me. Brother Gu has already secured investment. Although 5 million yuan is a bit less, this is just the first step for him to become the richest man. I believe that in less than 10 years, he will return to his original position. Then she looked at me contemptuously and said, "You were the richest man's wife for so long. In this life, it's my turn to enjoy the blessings. Don't worry, this blessing is all yours." Before Gu Jingqing could show off in front of me in person, bad news came. Gu Jingqing was cheated. They just gave him a little sweetener, and then they cheated him out of everything. His patent was bought for 1 yuan, his core business ideas were plagiarized, and even the original website he finally set up was attacked and gone. After several consecutive business failures, Gu Jingqing couldn't sit still. He came to the school to block me. "Su Ran, was it you who did this? Are you afraid that I'll succeed in my business and that I'll take revenge on you?" I blinked, looking innocent. Senior Sui stood in front of me and kindly reminded him, "Are you classmate Gu? I've heard about you. Your business ideas and concepts are correct, but the world is full of dangers. You should be more careful in the future." Is it your turn to speak? Sui, in the previous life, you were just a dog working for me. Who are you pretending to be? Get out of the way. Gu Jingqing always thought that becoming the richest man was all his own credit and had nothing to do with me or Sui, but he was wrong. Without the two of us, the position of the richest man would never have fallen to him. Sui grabbed his hand forcefully, not allowing him to get close to me. Under the gold-rimmed glasses, Suyi's dark eyes were filled with cold, sharp glints. "Come to trouble Ran again. And don't blame me for being rude to you." Then he personally escorted him out of the school. #8. In the previous life, with my protection, Gu Jingqing's business path was too smooth. It made him forget how cold and dark the world was. Even though he had memories of the previous life and a vision for future emerging industries, it wasn't easy for him to succeed in starting a business. Well, he was cheated again. Driven by eagerness for quick success and greed for profit, Gu Jingqing successfully fell into a fraud group. The monitor noticed something was wrong and kindly called the police for him. 3 months later, Gu Jingqing was bailed out. That day, the police called me and asked me to cooperate with them in the investigation. The police uncle asked me what messages Gu Jingqing had sent me in the past few months. I honestly opened the chat records for them to see. Su Ran, for the sake of our past feelings. As long as you transfer 500,000 yuan to me, I'll forgive you without holding a grudge, Su Ran. I'm only 300,000 yuan short of a successful business start-up. I promise I won't take revenge on you when I become the richest man, Su Ran. Transfer 100,000 yuan to me, and I'll immediately make you the vice president, Su Ran. Transfer 50,000 yuan to me. The police uncle was trying very hard not to laugh. I also felt very speechless. Just as I was about to leave, the police told me that Gu Jingqing was involved in fraud and might go to jail, and he wanted to see me. I didn't want to go, but the police persuaded me that Gu Jingqing was very stubborn. Only if I went would he truthfully report all the facts. To save more people who were deceived by telecom fraud, I went. Gu Jingqing no longer had his former arrogance and high profile. He just sat silently on the chair, his hands handcuffed. When he saw me, it took him a long time to calm down his emotions. He said, Ran, I'm sorry. I asked him questions as the police asked. When you first entered the fraud group, didn't you notice anything wrong? He smiled bitterly. From the first day I entered, I knew there was something wrong with this place, but I didn't want to admit that the once richest man had actually fallen to such a state. Ran, now I finally realize that I'm a useless person who can do nothing. Without you, I'm nothing. But I also have my self-esteem. I didn't want to admit it. And I was even more afraid that if I admitted it, I would really never be able to stand up again. I tried my best to prove myself and make achievements to show you, but it turned out that I'm really a waste. Ran, actually, I early realized that the person I love is you, but in the previous life, no matter how high I climbed, you never admired me. It seemed that everything was within your plan. I'm a man, I need to be admired by a woman. Song Xiaowan is better at being a woman than you. She likes me and holds me up high. I really enjoyed the way she looked up to me, that's all. On that day, when you brought people to break into the house where Song Xiaowan and I were, my first reaction was to save you. As long as you forgave me and pretended that nothing had happened, we could still live a happy life. But you just wanted to divorce me and make me leave the house penniless. That gas explosion was Song Xiaowan's own will. I never wanted to hurt you, never. After realizing that I was reborn, I didn't deliberately get so close to Song Xiaowan. It's just, I was angry with you. After all, if you really loved me, you wouldn't have dragged me to death at the last moment. I picked my ears and asked him if he had finished. If so, I was leaving. Senior Sui had a new project that was short of people, and I couldn't stay outside for too long, especially not waste time listening to others talk nonsense. At this time, Song Xiaowan suddenly appeared from nowhere. She pushed me away forcefully, and with tears all over her face, she roared at Gu Jingqing, you actually lied to me. I'm your savior in the previous life. Without my kidney, you would have died long ago. You promised to be with me for a lifetime and make a fortune to pay off my mother's gambling debts, but you took the real estate certificate left to me by my father and disappeared. Where's the money? Give me back the money, you liar. Savior, I paid for that kidney. You were going to sell it to someone anyway. It just so happened that you sold it to me. In the previous life, I bought you luxury houses, luxury cars, and took you traveling. You weren't satisfied. You even wanted to be the richest man's wife. You killed Ran and me. In this life, you made me drop out of school early. If it weren't for you egging me on, I wouldn't have entered this fraud company at all. Now that I'm going to jail, you won't have a good time either. Police, I want to report that this vicious woman, Song Xiaowan, is also a member of the fraud group. She sent me in. Shut up, you gigolo. After flattering you a few times, you really think you're the richest man. Looking at your pretentious appearance of acting rich when you're broke, I'm so disgusted that I want to vomit. I warn you, if you don't return the real estate certificate and the heirloom jade pendant to me, I'll make sure you stay in jail forever. Police, I want to report, the amount of Gu Jingqing's crimes is more than that. I hadn't had enough of watching this dog-eat-dog show when Song Xiaowan rushed out to report to the police, for fear that if she was a second late, Gu Jingqing wouldn't be able to sit through the prison term. Gu Jingqing looked at me eagerly and begged me, Ran, for the sake of our past life as husband and wife, can you help me? I know that as long as you take action, I can spend a few years less in prison. Do you know how many families will be torn apart by telecom fraud? Gu Jingqing, you deserve all of this, go and receive reform in prison, ####9. Gu Jingqing's judgment was handed down, and he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Since that day, Song Xiaowan had disappeared. It was said that one day she went to the police in a battered state to report that her gambling-addicted mother had sold her to a rich old man with special hobbies as a pet. She couldn't take it anymore and begged the police to save her. At first, the police would go out to check, but the old man took out their marriage certificate and the testimony of Song Xiaowan's mother in court. In the end, it was determined as a family conflict and the case was closed. Later, there was no news of Song Xiaowan anymore. The day Gu Jingqing was released from prison happened to be our class reunion. He came, but he didn't show up. He just stood in the distance, took a look at me, and then turned around and fled. After 3 years in prison, he no longer had the look of his former self. He was emaciated, with sunken eyes. He was wearing a washed-out sweatshirt and wrapped his whole head in a hat. When a passer-by walked by, he would subconsciously step aside. I saw him through the window. He was staring fixedly at Sui beside me. His eyes were filled with envy, jealousy, and unwillingness, because at this time, Sui had already become the richest man in Asia. In the previous life, it took Gu Jingqing 10 years to reach the position of the richest man, while Sui only took 3 short years. Although he had the help of my family, he was also hard-working and enterprising. My father had intended to match us up, but I really only regarded him as a brother. Sui didn't force me. Instead, he respected my wishes and doted on me. The twin sisters I had sponsored in the past had also become my most powerful assistants. Although they graduated from an ordinary second-tier university, they were diligent, studious, and grateful. They not only brought the grandparents who had raised them to live in the city but also refused offers from major famous enterprises for my sake. I believe that one day, with their help, I will build my own business empire step by step. Story 2. After being reborn, my elder sister decisively exchanged her fiancé with mine. She said, "I'll leave the Buddhist prodigy of the Beijing circle to you. I'll marry the young master of the prince's family in the Beijing circle." In the previous life, she married the aloof Buddhist prodigy, but she never expected that he was born with a sickly and delicate personality. She couldn't stand it and chose to cheat. Then she was imprisoned by him for a lifetime and finally died of depression. But I often went in and out of high-end occasions. With the power and influence of the young master of the prince's family, everyone envied me. Looking at her crazy and triumphant smile, I let out a sigh of relief. Compared with the young master of the prince's family who flirts around and sacrifices his wife for glory, I really love the sickly but dedicated Buddhist prodigy. 1. I was reborn. Reborn to 1 minute before choosing a fiancé for the arranged marriage. Our family had once arranged a baby betrothal for my elder sister and me. Now it was time to choose our fiancés. My socialite elder sister's eyes were filled with shock and joy. The moment the elders finished speaking, she let out a shrill laugh. "Dad, Mom, I want to choose the young master of the Liang family in the Beijing circle. I want to marry into the Liang family." I instantly understood that she was also reborn. She wanted to encroach on my life. My parents frowned. "Ruoruo. Have you really thought this through? The Liang family has lost several lawsuits and is not as powerful as before. Didn't you always like the young master of the Fu family, who is very capable?" My elder sister beamed with joy. "The young master of the Liang family has the ability to sort out everything. Don't worry, I'll have a good life." These words confirmed my suspicion. The reason why my elder sister cried and made a fuss to marry Liang Yiming was that she was afraid of ending up being imprisoned to death just like in the previous life. In the previous life, she took the initiative first and chose the cold and noble Buddhist prodigy in the Beijing circle, Fu Ruqing. She successfully became the young mistress of the Fu family as she wished, before she had enough of the wealthy life she had dreamed of. My elder sister was sent to a temple on the mountain for spiritual cultivation. The precepts were strict, the food was plain. On the mountain, there were only the sounds of wooden fish and bells, not to mention the bold, holy monk and enchanting woman play she wanted. Fu Ruqing never touched her at all. My elder sister was used to the colorful world. How could she be patient enough to live a boring life? With a phone call, she called 2 of her ex-boyfriends to play with her. When the 3 of them were having a good time, other monks heard the commotion and caught them in bed on the spot. It was said that Fu Ruqing was so disgusted that he went into seclusion immediately. According to his oral order, my elder sister was confined to a villa at the foot of the mountain for a lifelong spiritual cultivation and finally died of depression. Fu Ruqing didn't abuse her, except for not allowing her to go in and out of nightclubs and bars to find young men. He didn't do anything too excessive, but my elder sister was jealous that I could go in and out of high-end places with the young master of the Liang family. In the end, she even developed a heart problem from pent-up emotions. No wonder she chose the Liang family, which she looked down upon in the previous life. As soon as she was reborn, my elder sister felt my gaze, glared at me provocatively, and then pulled me into the bedroom. Don't even think about snatching the young master of the prince's family in the Beijing circle from me, otherwise, don't blame me for killing you with my own hands. Pretending to be kind-hearted, I said, but the Liang family is facing difficulties now. Does sister really want to sacrifice herself? My elder sister raised her chin haughtily and had a contemptuous expression. It's none of your business, the Liang family will thrive. After saying that, she pushed me and said, "You'd better care about yourself. I hope you can stand the life of a nun who lives like a widow for the rest of your life." Looking at her swaggering away, a smile reappeared on my face. Does she really think that the Liang family's resurgence depends on Liang Yiming, who is proficient in eating, drinking, whoring, and gambling? Liang Yiming is the kind of person who can send his own wife to someone else's bed with his own hands. Compared with the young master of the prince's family who flirts around and sacrifices his wife for glory, I really love the sickly but dedicated Buddhist prodigy, too. Although my parents were helpless, they still agreed to my elder sister's choice. Then they turned their gaze to me. Tan, since your elder sister wants to marry into the Liang family, you will marry into the Fu family. They didn't give me a chance to object and casually finalized my marriage. My elder sister gloated. While putting on a thick nightclub makeup for herself, she sneered, "Lin Tan, just accept your fate. Be careful that you'll be tied to a meditation cushion and have to kowtow for the rest of your life." I leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Sister, I wish you won't be tied to the bed with chains and have to accompany guests nonstop in the future." She thought that exchanging marriages could exchange lives. Little did she know that the right to choose in life lies with oneself, not with a certain man. My elder sister was stunned. When she realized what I said, she wanted to slap me. I smiled and stepped back, putting on a decent smile. "Mom, it's getting late. Didn't you say you've called Ruqing? He'll come to pick me up soon. I'm going to change my clothes." After finalizing the marriage partners, my parents informed the Fu family and the Liang family respectively and euphemistically suggested that it would be best to cultivate some affection. The Fu family was only half an hour's drive from my home. Fu Ruqing said he would come to pick me up and go for a walk. As for Liang Yiming, he was probably indulging in some nightclub now, drunk and dreaming of a life of pleasure. He didn't even answer a single call. My elder sister's face changed slightly. She stared at me intently, wishing she could poke a hole in me. When I came out after changing my clothes, Fu Ruqing had also arrived. He sat beside my parents, expressionlessly discussing the details of the engagement ceremony preparation. He had a tall and straight nose, outstanding facial features. He was more good-looking than the celebrities on TV, and he exuded an air of calmness like a deep stream. No wonder my elder sister fell in love with him at first sight in the previous life. As soon as my elder sister saw Fu Ruqing, she was immediately fascinated. Her eyes almost stuck to him. Fu Ruqing changed to a position farther away from her, as if avoiding something dirty. The bright crystal lights illuminated his expression, but they couldn't light up those dark eyes, which showed no trace of light. My elder sister was so scared that she shuddered. Just as she was about to make up for it, I interrupted. "Sister, what are you talking to my fiancé about?" Hearing the word fiancé, my elder sister and Fu Ruqing both looked up at me. My elder sister's expression was beyond description. She seemed to want to devour me alive. But Fu Ruqing just looked at me quietly, and a trace of inexplicable emotion flashed in his black eyes. I stepped forward and naturally took his arm. "Mr. Fu, I'm ready, let's go." Fu Ruqing's gaze shifted to the hand holding his arm, and he replied with a faint "3. It was not until we reached the car that I let go of his arm and said sincerely, "Mr. Fu, thank you." My parents were bent on selling me as capital, and I had already had enough of this suffocating home. If Fu Ruqing hadn't come to pick me up, I would never have been able to escape from their clutches. "Why are you thanking me? Aren't we fiancés?" Fu Ruqing looked at me quietly. His gaze made me feel a little at a loss and a little flustered. "Okay, what's mine is yours. You're welcome. Haven't you had dinner? I'll take you to a restaurant." Touching my slightly empty stomach, I nodded. I had thought that Fu Ruching would take me to a vegetarian restaurant or something, but unexpectedly, he drove me to a Western restaurant. It was the one I usually liked to eat at the most. Mr. Fu, did we go the wrong way? I couldn't help but put my hands together. This is a sin, isn't this defiling his belief? But Fu Ruching shook his head. It's okay, Buddhism emphasizes only cultivating oneself. I've already eaten at home, just order whatever you want to eat. I couldn't decline. After sitting down, I ordered a salad and spaghetti with vegetarian sauce. Fu Ruching said, "Is that all you're going to eat?" I nodded. "This is enough. I'm not picky about food. In fact, after experiencing the days in the previous life when I was tied up like a dog by Liang Yiming, it's already good enough to have something to eat." Fu Ruching looked at me, and I didn't know what he was thinking. After I finished eating and put down the knife and fork, he calmly said, "After we get married, please be sure to remain loyal to the marriage and fulfill your marital obligations. I will give you everything you want." Marital obligations, my mind went blank, and I blurted out without thinking, "Aren't you a monk?" Fu Ruching corrected me. "I'm a lay Buddhist," I silently complained. "Then why do everyone call you the Buddhist prodigy?" I thought. I didn't know if it was an illusion, but I saw him smile. My heart suddenly started pounding. Somehow, I reached out and touched his eyebrows and eyes. The moment my fingers touched his skin, I realized what I had done and quickly withdrew my hand, but it was a step too late. Fu Ruching was stunned and instinctively grabbed my hand, holding it tightly and refusing to let go. I'm really sorry." I felt desperate and wished I could slap myself twice. Lin Tan, how could you be bewitched by a man's appearance and do such a crazy thing on impulse? Fortunately, Fu Ruching didn't care about my abruptness. His lips moved slightly. "It's okay." When he sent me back home, we both tacitly forgot what had just happened. Before getting out of the car, I joked, "Mr. Fu, I heard that Buddhism emphasizes the word fate. In your opinion, do we have fate?" I thought he wouldn't answer this question. Unexpectedly, he nodded and said calmly, "Yes, it started from the previous life." It was my turn to be silent. How could I have had a relationship with him in the previous life? The unbearable experiences of the previous life are still vivid in my mind. A person can't forget important things, just like one can never forget hatred. I didn't take it seriously and didn't refute. I just smiled. "Then I will definitely cherish this fate," until I turned around and walked into the gate. When I casually looked back, I still found that the car lights were shining faintly white in the dark night. Fu Ruching hadn't left yet. My heart skipped a beat. Just as I was about to turn back to find him, my elder sister blocked me at the door. My elder sister had a ferocious expression on her face, and her lips were as red as if she had eaten a dead child. "Lin Tan, you shameless slut." After saying that, she wanted to pull my hair. "You seduced Fu Ruching. I'll kill you." Looking at my elder sister's crazy appearance, I almost burst out laughing. I sidestepped to avoid her attack, making her fall to the ground and eat dirt. I covered my mouth and took a few steps back. "Sister, why are you performing such a big courtesy when it's not a festival? Although the Fu family has power and influence, you don't have to fawn on me like this, do you?" Every word hit her right in the heart. The reason why my elder sister chose the Liang family was that she was blinded by the apparent wealth and prosperity. In her heart, she still regarded Fu Ruching as her own possession and was daydreaming about having the best of both worlds. Not to mention that I'm Fu Ruching's fiancé in this life. Even if I were an insignificant stranger, I wouldn't stand by and watch a person like my elder sister harm good people. After laughing enough, I continued, "Are you feeling lonely at home? You can go to bars and nightclubs more often. Maybe the young master you've been longing for is dancing in some singing and dancing hall." My elder sister didn't know the true nature of Liang Yiming. Thinking that I was belittling her fiancé, she had a look of hatred on her face. "Shut up. Do you even deserve to be compared with me? I hope you can still laugh when you're locked in the temple and eating chaff and vegetables. By then, I'll become the Mrs. Liang wearing gold and silver. Even if you kneel on the ground and beg me, I won't show mercy." After saying that, she got up resentfully from the ground and turned back to the bedroom. I leaned against the stairs casually and opened my phone to look at today's economic evening news. TSK, the Liang family's stock has dropped another 10 points. I hope it can hold out until the day my elder sister marries into the Liang family. 5. The next day, after Liang Yiming sobered up, he learned who his fiancée was and rushed to my home to admit his mistake and apologize. He talked nonsense seriously, uncle and aunt. I had social engagements last night and accidentally got drunk and lost my memory. but don't worry, our family's business is gradually getting back on track. When Reborn marries me, the crisis will definitely be resolved easily." I rolled my eyes silently. The debt crisis will of course be resolved easily. In addition to the dowry worth tens of millions that can relieve the urgent need, Liang Yiming will also force his future wife to accompany guests and drink, satisfying the perverted tastes of the upper class. For those in the upper class, it's not difficult to find young and beautiful girls to torture. The difficult thing is to find playthings from a higher social background. Perhaps only in this way can they enjoy the so-called pleasure of conquest. In the previous life, Liang Yiming seized the opportunity and sent me out as a favor, making me suffer a lot of abuse. Finally, he got the opportunity to turn the tables. The high-end banquets that seemed so glorious in my elder sister's eyes were just the entrances that pushed me into the abyss again and again. My elder sister was completely unaware of the tragic fate that awaited her. She was elated and whispered in my ear, "Lin Tan, just wait. Anyway, you're destined to live like a widow. After you're abandoned, I'll definitely find a few men to play with you until you're completely ruined. You always put on this deadpan face. Let's see if Fu Ruqing will still want you then." I curled my lips into a sarcastic smile and raised my arm. Slap! I interrupted my elder sister's endless cursing and also interrupted the conversation between Liang Yiming and my parents in the living room. This slap directly stunned my elder sister, and she burst into tears. "Dad, Mom, and my dear, look, Lin Tan is bullying me." My father comforted my elder sister and then said sternly, "Tan Tan, what are you doing? Hurry up and apologize to your elder sister." My parents have always been partial to my elder sister. In the previous life, when they saw that I was in a desperate situation, they not only refused to take me home but even mocked me. A married daughter is like spilled water. You have to do whatever Liang Yiming asks you to do. If you want to be clean, then go and die. Won't everything be clean if you're dead? However, when my elder sister was caught cheating, my parents rushed to the Fu family in a hurry to plead for mercy. Although it was ultimately ineffective, the contrast was really disheartening. After being reborn, I have seen many things clearly. For example, now, it's not me who should die, but these heartless people who are the beneficiaries. I squeezed out a few tears. "Dad, do you know what sister just said? She actually said that she wanted me to sleep with men." Listen to this. Is this something a person would say? At the same time, I paid attention to observing Liang Yiming's expression. Sure enough, a gloomy look covered Liang Yiming's eyebrows, and his gaze towards my elder sister was tinged with hostility. He never expected that the secret plan would be revealed. My elder sister refused to admit it and tried her best to smear me. "She's lying. I didn't say that." I had expected her to quibble. I opened the voice recording app on my phone and clicked play. Just as the sentence, "Find a few men to play with you until you're completely ruined," was played, the butler rushed in nervously. "Something's wrong, sir and madam." Young Master Fu suddenly arrived. I couldn't stop him no matter how hard I tried, and he has already barged in. Fu Ruqing's figure was bathed in the morning sunlight, as if surrounded by a layer of sacred and inviolable holy light. However, his eyes were extremely cold, especially when he heard the last sentence of the recording. He gave everyone a cold and indifferent glance. My parents were sweating profusely and quickly greeted him. "Ruqing, you should have told us in advance that you were coming, so that Tantan could go out to welcome you." Fu Ruqing avoided their affectionate touches and said straightforwardly, "There's no need for pleasantries. What I want to ask is what Lin Rua just said. Ask her to repeat it." If Liang Yiming's mood was one of being angry and ashamed just now, now he was filled with both fear and shock. He put on an innocent look and said with an embarrassed smile, "Mr. Fu, it's all a misunderstanding. Let's talk things over properly." In response to him, Fu Ruqing didn't hesitate to say a single word, "Get lost." The scene suddenly became quiet. Everyone knew that Fu Ruqing was pure-hearted and had few desires, as indifferent as water. They had never heard him tell someone to get lost before, yet, he had immense power and influence. And no one could afford to provoke him or avoid him, except for me. No one had a pleasant expression on their face. In fact, I didn't really understand the current situation either. I had only met Fu Ruqing at most twice. How could he be so angry on my behalf? Before I could think more, Fu Ruqing had already walked up to me and pulled me into his arms. "Lin Tan, don't be afraid, it's all right now." My nose was filled with the faint fragrance of the incense, which brought my thoughts back to a long, long time ago. An image flashed in my mind, but it vanished in an instant like flowing water. I tried to break free from his embrace, but unexpectedly, Fu Ruqing pressed me back, so I could only mumble in his arms, "It's okay, I'm fine now." No matter what Liang Yiming and my elder sister said or did, I wouldn't be easily played by them anymore. How could a person who climbed out of hell be easily swayed by the words of scum? I smiled and looked at my elder sister. "Sister, I presented the evidence, so, shouldn't you apologize?" My elder sister refused to lower her noble head and kept hiding behind Liang Yiming. My father lost face. On the one hand, he didn't want to scold his precious eldest daughter, and on the other hand, he didn't dare to offend his two well-born sons-in-law, so, he vented all his anger on me. "Lin Tan, are you done? Stop making trouble and go upstairs to your room right away, see? It's always like this." I had long since given up hope in them and just found it ridiculous, so, I said calmly, "I'm not done yet, but I don't plan to play with you either. Don't you like Lin Rua?" Then accompany her and put on a good show of fatherly kindness and daughterly filial piety. Ignoring my parents' surprised shouts, I strode out of the villa. 7. Except for Fu Ruqing, who chased after me, no one else showed up. I'd bet that my elder sister was absolutely overjoyed right now. No one would snatch Liang Yiming, who she had set her eyes on, and all of the Lin family's hundreds of millions of family fortune would belong to her. On the surface, a happy and fulfilling life seemed to be beckoning to her. But I knew that the Lin family was far from being as glorious as it seemed on the surface, otherwise, they wouldn't be in such a hurry to marry off their daughters for marriage alliances. It wouldn't be long before the Lin family declared bankruptcy due to heavy debts. In the previous life, my parents didn't hesitate to pass on the debts to me and went abroad to live a good life with the assets they had already transferred. My elder sister didn't know the truth about the bankruptcy and harbored hatred towards me, thinking that I had inherited the family business. Since she envied me, I might as well have the opportunity and give her this mess of the Lin family. Fu Ruqing followed me unhurriedly, as if worried that I might do something stupid. I simply sat down on a bench by the roadside and smiled. "Don't worry, I'm fine now." Fu Ruqing sat beside me and turned his head to look at me. He didn't say anything, and just sitting there quietly was already very good. I closed my eyes, and bits and pieces of the previous life flashed through my mind. Even if I did nothing, my elder sister would still end up in a very tragic situation, but my enemies weren't just her, whether it was Liang Yiming or my parents. They were all executioners who pushed me into the abyss. Blood debts must be repaid with blood. I proposed a deal. "Mr. Fu, could you do me a favor? Once it's done, the assets of the Fu family can at least increase by 200 million. Unexpectedly, Fu Ruqing didn't agree immediately. Instead, he asked me where I was going. "What about you?" I pointed at myself. "Me, I have nowhere to go. Would you like to take me in?" It was just a joke, but who knew that he seemed to take it seriously? His well-defined fingers tightly grasped my hand, and he said in a hoarse voice, "Okay, then never leave me." Me, 8. Fortunately, although Fu Ruqing's words were intimidating, he didn't actually do anything excessive. During the days I lived in the Fu family, I collected a lot of evidence of the Lin family embezzling public funds and lining their own pockets. They would become the key links on my path of revenge. 3 months later, on the second day of the 10th lunar month, Liang Yiming and my elder sister held a grand wedding. My elder sister was wearing a white wedding dress, with a huge diamond on her ring finger. There was a smug and complacent smile on her face as she enjoyed the compliments and congratulations from others. "Thank you for your blessings, Miss Li. My Yiming just dotes on me. There's nothing I can do about it." I told him not to buy such a luxurious diamond ring, but he actually had someone bring me a pink diamond back from South Africa. "I heard it's worth 200 million, Mrs. Zhao. You're here too. You've noticed it. I'm indeed pregnant. With your kind words, it will definitely be the legitimate eldest grandson of the Liang family. Don't worry, there will be many opportunities in the future. After all, I'm now the only apple of my parents' and Yiming's eyes." My elder sister smiled brightly, until she saw me attending. Her smile immediately froze. "Lin Tan, why are you here? Who let you in?" She waved her hand, intending to ask the security guards to throw me out. The corners of my lips curled up slightly. "Lin Rua, I'm not attending the ceremony in the name of your younger sister today, but as Mrs. Fu. If you drive me away, do you want to reject the investment from the Fu family?" Even the Liang family in its prime couldn't compete with the Fu family, let alone in its current declining situation. I smiled and said, "Sister, I heard that you're pregnant, then don't wear that dyed pink diamond anymore. Chemical dyes are harmful to the body, Be careful not to have a miscarriage, Lin Tan. Do you think I'll believe your nonsense? Let me tell you, you'll never be able to enjoy wealth and glory like I do in your life. My elder sister stamped her foot angrily and turned around to entertain other guests. I raised my eyebrows. She was so easily provoked. Wouldn't she be driven crazy by what I was going to do next? An hour later, the ceremony officially began. My parents pretended to be kind and loving parents, as if they were pleased that their daughter had found her final destination. After the bride and groom exchanged diamond rings, they announced that they would give all the shares of the Lin family to my elder sister, and they signed the agreement on the spot, which took effect immediately after signing. The guests present all applauded my parents' generosity, and Liang Yiming was even more overjoyed. My elder sister glanced at me triumphantly and said in a coquettish voice, "Dad, Mom, you spoil me too much. Isn't there still my sister?" Oops, I forgot that my sister was kicked out of the house for being unfilial. How pitiful. There was a lot of discussion among the guests. The news that I had severed my relationship with the Lin family wasn't a secret in the circle, but it hadn't been confirmed either, so many people speculated whether there was still room for negotiation. Unexpectedly, my elder sister didn't hide it at all and said it out loud at the wedding today. For a moment, many people looked at me with either pity or ridicule in their eyes. 9. I stood up gracefully and raised my glass towards my parents from a distance. Although my parents have severed their relationship with me, after all, they gave birth to me and raised me for so many years, I'm still grateful. I always have to give some small gifts. Dad, Mom, oh, Mr. Lin, Mrs. Lin, I heard that you're going to settle in the United States soon. To express my apologies, I can only give you 2 business class tickets. I hope you can live comfortably in the United States. As soon as I said this, the whole room was in an uproar. My elder sister looked confused and turned her head to ask, "Mom and Dad, why are you suddenly going abroad? Why didn't you tell me?" Of course, if they had told her, could my parents have run away carefree? Lin Tan, what are you talking nonsense about? When are we going abroad? My father avoided my gaze and scolded me blusteringly. It was obvious to anyone with discernment that he was feeling guilty. I pretended to be confused and said, "Is that so?" Ruching clearly told me that there was a problem with the family's assets. Alas, anyway, I'm not a daughter of the Lin family anymore. Maybe I made a mistake. After saying that, I sat down leisurely and tightened my hold on Fu Ruching's arm. His body stiffened for a moment, and then he tightened his grip with an irresistible force, as if he wanted to lock me tightly by his side. I smiled to soothe him, looking like an affectionate couple. The people below were laughing, but the people on the stage were about to cry. Liang Yiming snatched the agreement like a madman. After reading it, he called his secretary. After hanging up the phone, his eyes were so red that they seemed to be bleeding. My elder sister didn't understand what was going on and stepped forward to please him. "Honey, what happened? Let's solve it together." Before she could finish speaking, Liang Yiming slapped her to interrupt her. My elder sister rolled down from the half-meter-high platform, hit her head on the pillar, and fainted on the spot. There was a cut on her forehead, and blood was gushing out. Not only that, Liang Yiming rushed in front of my parents and swung his fist at their old faces. What was supposed to be a wonderful wedding banquet turned into a brawl scene. Escorted by bodyguards, I left the scene unharmed. Looking at the tall rainbow gate, I squinted my eyes. I knew that Liang Yiming and my elder sister had already obtained their marriage certificate, and my elder sister chose to inherit the property, along with the debts. The huge debt that the Liang family owed hadn't been paid off yet, and now they had an additional 200 million in joint marital debt. TSK, so pitiful. I hope they can get through this disaster smoothly and then rot and stink together in prison. 10. The next day, the front pages of major newspapers were all news about the bankruptcy of the Lin family and Liang Yiming's violent behavior at the wedding. My elder sister was admitted to the hospital. Fortunately, she didn't have a miscarriage. My parents suffered a mild concussion from the beating and claimed that they would sue Liang Yiming for intentional injury. However, before the lawyer could come, the police arrested them. The reason was that they were suspected of occupational embezzlement and foreign exchange evasion. Due to the huge amount involved, they were likely to be sentenced to more than 10 years in prison. They cried and begged me to save them. I sat on the chair with an unchanged expression. I'm a married daughter, like spilled water. It's only right and proper to pay off debts. If you don't want to go to jail, it's simple, then you can just die. Everything will be clean if you're dead. It was the same words as in the previous life. But the difference was that I had become the one who controlled their fate. Lin Tan, you ungrateful wretch, if I had known this, I should have strangled you to death when you were born, my mother cried and roared. I tilted my head. Very well, there's one more charge for going to jail. Bodyguards, take Mr. and Mrs. Lin to the police station and say that they're suspected of attempted murder. My parents were dragged out the door, and their cries gradually faded away. Fu Ruqing walked up to me and looked at me with a complicated expression. I took his hand and pressed it against my face. Do you think I'm bad? I can even be so heartless towards my own parents. According to Buddhist teachings, people like me should go to hell, Fu Ruqing said in a low voice. No, his lips pressed against mine. They were a bit cold, but they gave me infinite strength. You're saving yourself. Saving myself? People like me can either destroy themselves or destroy their enemies. Do I even deserve to turn over a new leaf? After dealing with my parents, I went to the hospital. The ward was filled with the strong smell of disinfectant, which was pungent and choking. My elder sister was lying in the hospital bed, and there wasn't even a caregiver by her side. I casually picked up the apple on the table and started peeling it while chatting. Sister, how pitiful you are. Mom and Dad are really something. They actually transferred the shorted company to you, and your husband is absurd too. Isn't it just taking on an additional 200 million in debt out of the blue? Is it necessary to hit people in public? My elder sister gritted her teeth so hard that sparks seemed to fly. She itched to eat my flesh and drink my blood. Bitch, you knew everything all along, didn't you? You framed me. I smiled. You chose your husband, and you signed the documents yourself. I didn't do anything from beginning to end. It's just that you brought this upon yourself. Don't be so complacent. The Liang family has a big business. Sooner or later, they will avenge this humiliation, and I'm pregnant with Liang Yiming's child now. Once he's born, I'll be the legitimate Mrs. Liang. My elder sister kept stroking her belly, not sure if she was threatening me or comforting herself, my gaze fixed on her slightly swollen belly, and I shrugged. I hope this child can bring you wealth and glory. I forgot to remind you, some people really like the pregnant woman play. I hope you and your child can withstand such intense activities. My elder sister frowned. What do you mean? You live a life like a widow, so don't meddle in other people's married life. I turned around and smiled. Then I wish you a stimulating and enjoyable sex life. Mrs. Liang, 11. The next time I saw Liang Yiming was at a dinner party a month later. The 200 million in foreign debt was like the last straw that broke the camel's back, making him irritable and easily angered. Yet he could only grovel. As soon as Fu Ruqing and I arrived at the hall, Liang Yiming came to beg humbly, Mr. Fu Tan, for the sake of our being relatives, please be magnanimous and give us a hand. As long as you invest 500 million in the Liang group, the Liang family can be revived, and our two families can grow and become stronger together. Fu Ruqing seemed not to have heard his voice and kept his eyes fixed on my reaction. I covered my lips and chuckled. Brother-in-law, we're family, so we don't need to stand on ceremony. Lin Rua is my biological elder sister. Of course I want to help you, but you also know that my parents severed their relationship with me because of her, and my heart is really cold. When Liang Yiming heard my elder sister's name, his eyes turned scarlet. He ordered the servants to drag my elder sister out and forced her to apologize to me, betrayed by her husband like this. My elder sister wished she could kill Liang Yiming, but for some reason, she, who had always been shrewd and assertive, didn't even dare to make a peep at this moment. I had sharp eyes and saw the purple and blue marks under her evening dress. At a glance, they looked like the bruises from being beaten. Glared at by Liang Yiming, my elder sister's legs went weak. She gritted her teeth and squeezed out a sentence. Sorry, sister, I was too willful in the past. I hope you can forgive me. After all, we are family. Besides me, who else can treat you with all my heart? I watched her performance with great interest and nodded. Okay, then let me see your sincerity, sister. My elder sister's eyes lit up, and she was overly attentive as she said, let's go to the side and catch up. Sisters, don't delay the men from discussing important matters, Fu Ruqing said in a deep voice. Lin Tan, I winked at him, turned back to my elder sister, and said, since sister has spoken, let's go. When we arrived at the bedroom on the second floor, my elder sister closed the door and somehow brought out a glass of red wine. Sister, let's bury the hatchet with a glass of wine. Seeing the wine glass brought to my lips, I took it and said with a half-smile, you want me to drink it? A trace of panic flashed in my elder sister's eyes, and her gaze kept wandering towards the balcony. Pregnant women can't drink alcohol. so of course you're the only one who can drink it, I sneered, raised my arm, and then splashed all the wine on her face. My elder sister was caught off guard and splashed all over her face. She covered her face and let out a scream. Lin Tan, you bitch, Mr. Lee, come quickly and hold her down. The balcony door was opened, and a fat man appeared behind the curtains. He seemed to think that I couldn't escape even if I had wings. He walked towards me with a lecherous smile. Little beauty, if you don't want to get hurt, you'd better obediently submit to me, otherwise. Before he could finish speaking, I picked up the dinner knife and stabbed it into his stomach. Blood splashed on my face. I casually wiped it and showed a smile. Do you want me to accompany you to sleep in hell? 12. The man's heavy begging for mercy and my elder sister's crying filled my ears. I dropped the knife, opened the door, and walked out step by step. Unexpectedly, Fu Ruqing was standing at the door. I instinctively covered the blood on my body and carefully said, sorry, before I could finish speaking. I was suddenly pulled into his arms. The blood stained his clothes, spreading out large ripples. A scalding tear fell on my neck. I couldn't tell who was stirred up with affection. I was picked up by him and rushed to the car. The hug turned into a kiss, and the kiss turned into more unrestrained actions. The blood-stained clothes were taken off one by one, revealing the most fundamental aspects of human nature. After everything turned upside down, I finally soiled the god who was untouched by the world. It's okay, let's go to hell together. 13. When I woke up the next day, I found myself lying in the bedroom. Fu Ruqing wasn't by my side, but my body had been cleaned. I took a look at my phone, and it seemed that no big news had broken out. Just as I was in a daze, the police called me. Miss Lin, hello, may I ask if Lin Rua is your relative? After getting an answer, the police continued. She was found unconscious in a hotel. There are multiple injuries on her body, and it is suspected that she has suffered illegal infringement. In the ward, my elder sister was on a ventilator, and various medical instruments were barely maintaining her vital signs. Even so, she still firmly grabbed the corner of my clothes, full of resentment. Lin Tan, it's her who made me like this. She also stabbed Mr. Lee. Make Lin Tan go to jail. The police looked solemn. After making a call to verify, they helplessly explained, Mr. Lee was indeed injured last night, but he claimed that he accidentally fell and accidentally stabbed himself in the abdomen with a knife. I understood in my heart. No wonder Fu Ruqing wasn't at home early in the morning. It turned out that he had gone to deal with this matter, whether by coercion or inducement. He could always achieve unexpected results. I smiled and said, Mr. Lee was really careless. I thought it was my sister who accidentally stabbed him while playing some bold games with him. By the way, officer, I can see that my sister is seriously injured. I don't know what she has gone through. Could you please tell me? I learned from the police that after the party last night, my sister was forcibly taken away by several men covering her mouth. Strangely enough, Liang Yiming watched his wife being assaulted but did nothing. If it weren't for the eyewitness accounts of several witnesses, no one would believe that such an outrageous thing could happen. I pretended to be sad and let out a deep sigh. My brother-in-law is being naughty again. You know, the economic situation of the Liang family hasn't been good recently. I didn't expect him to really set his sights on my sister. It's really a sin. The words were half true and half false, but they were enough to provide the police with a new direction. The police took their leave and prepared to investigate the criminal facts of Liang Yiming, and I stayed in the ward, reached out, and patted my elder sister's face. Sister, does it feel good to marry Liang Yiming? My elder sister widened her eyes in disbelief. You, I spread my hands and smiled. I have reminded you many times, it's you who are too stupid. In the end, you still wanted to drag me down, but instead, you got yourself into trouble. I had met that Mr. Lee in my previous life. He was a regular customer who patronized Liang Yiming's business. Presumably, in this life, Liang Yiming again had the idea of making his wife accompany guests and asked my elder sister to offer herself. My elder sister didn't want to wait for her doom. She deliberately led me into that room, but unexpectedly, she got herself into trouble instead. Liang Yiming didn't expect that my elder sister would mess up two things at once. The fantasy of repairing the relationship with the Fu family was shattered, and he offended the big benefactor, Mr. Lee, in a fit of anger. It was not impossible for him to find other places and send my elder sister there to accompany guests. Seeing the mockery in my eyes, my elder sister was terrified. It's impossible. I exchanged lives with you. All your power and love should be mine. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I lowered my eyes and looked at her, clicking my tongue in amazement. This is my past experience, the love and intact body that you want. My elder sister let out a hoarse roar, and upon careful listening, she was actually calling Fu Ruqing's name. She struggled so violently that she accidentally pulled out the tube inserted into her body. I curled the corners of my lips and kindly called the nurse for her. My elder sister still had a long, long life ahead of her. Long enough for her to have enough time to reflect on her failed life. 14. After Liang Yiming was taken back by the police for investigation, the Liang family's stock was like a roller coaster that had reached its peak and quickly plummeted. Those former benefactors not only didn't help but were afraid of getting themselves into trouble. They even added insult to injury. They couldn't wait to fabricate the news that Liang Yiming had accompanied others to bed. Regardless of whether this matter was true or false, his act of forcing women to accompany guests was suspected of violating the criminal law, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. This matter wasn't over yet. 10 years was just a matter of time. I could wait. When Liang Yiming is released from prison, I will throw him into a group of men myself and let him have a good taste of what hell is like. When I walked out of the court, the weather was extremely good, with not a cloud in the sky. Fu Ruqing was standing at the front of the car waiting for me. I waved at him and ran over quickly. Mr. Fu, have you been waiting for me for a long time? Fu Ruqing shook his head. I like waiting for you. I bit his earlobe and smiled cunningly. Can you say it in a different way? For example, Fu Ruqing said simply, I will wait for you for a lifetime. After a pause, he added, I like you, for 2 lifetimes. He looked at me intently, and his dark eyes seemed to suck me in. I smiled sweetly. Is that so? Do you like me that much? To explain clearly, he moved his lips, but I stood on tiptoe and kissed him. In this life, there is enough time for us to be together, and I will wait for the answer I want. Extra chapter. From Fu Ruqing's perspective, I have never told anyone that I met Lin Tan in my previous life, not just once. The first time we met was at her wedding with Liang Yiming. Clearly, the surroundings were bustling with noise and the gongs and drums were resounding. But there was not the slightest trace of joy on her face. She was only 22 years old, in the prime of her life, but she was like a withered tree whose fire had been extinguished. She seemed to be the fuel that made the Lin family prosperous. 5 years passed by in a flash. After experiencing Lin Rua's infidelity and Lin Tan's parents fleeing abroad with the money, the prestigious Lin family finally collapsed. I would occasionally think of Lin Tan. I wondered how she would cope with the situation when the birds flew away and the forest was deserted. I thought that the Liang family should protect her. After all, they had once been a wealthy family and wouldn't be too harsh on a helpless woman. Unexpectedly, I would find Lin Tan, bruised and battered, on my way back to the mountain. It was pouring with rain that day. I didn't know how she fainted on the mountain road, and her body was soaked in blood. There was a medical station on the mountain. I took her back for an examination and found that the injuries on her body were far beyond my imagination. Moreover, she was blind. According to the doctor, it was due to a retinal detachment caused by external force. My heart shook. Although I didn't know what Lin Tan had gone through these years, I understood that I definitely couldn't hand her back to the Liang family. When she woke up, she looked at me with empty eyes. Although I knew she couldn't see, I couldn't help feeling a little nervous. Lin Tan sniffed and said, It's the smell of incense. This should be a temple, right? Did you save me, little master? I let out an She had only met me once and had never spoken to me before, so it was normal that she didn't remember me. After hesitating for a while, I slowly said, Your eyes. My eyes are blind. Fortunately, I'm still alive. It's a blessing and misfortune. Lin Tan blinked at me, as if smiling, but I could clearly feel that she was crying. Well, then you can stay here for now. There will usually be volunteers and lay Buddhists to take care of you. Unexpectedly, Lin Tan said, Thank you, little master. You monks are truly kind. You even saved someone as dirty and ignorant as me. How can I repay you? I was at a loss for words and fled in a hurry. With the influence of the Fu family in Beijing, it was easy to find out the evil deeds that Liang Yiming had done over the years. A thin document recorded all kinds of incidents in which Lin Tan was humiliated and trampled on. For the first time, I had the intention to kill someone. It wasn't just because he disregarded human ethics and did heinous things, but also because he had done such unforgivable things to Lin Tan. Liang Yiming deserved to die, and the Liang family really deserved to be destroyed. When I finished dealing with this matter and returned to the mountain, I saw Lin Tan sitting on the meditation cushion in a daze. She had never kowed out or burned incense, and there was no sign of her reverence for gods and Buddhas. I was already used to it and walked past her without changing my expression. Unexpectedly, she suddenly called me, "Little Master. Did you break the precepts when you went down the mountain? Why do you ask that?" She smiled and said, "Because I can smell the smell of blood on you." The sense of smell of a blind person is very sensitive. I paused. No, Lin Tan nodded, deep in thought. 2 days later, she actually sneaked down the mountain by herself and then stumbled back with more injuries. When I took her back to the side room, she was still laughing. The retribution came really quickly. Liang Yiming actually went to prison. He had done so many disgusting things and should have ended up like this long ago. She then shouted, "No, I should have killed him, killed him." After saying that, she desperately shook my lapel. I helplessly soothed her. "When you're better, go and kill him yourself." "Of course, I will help you," I said silently in my heart. I knew that I had broken the precepts, so it didn't matter if I broke them one more time. But Lin Tan ultimately didn't hold on until the day Liang Yiming was released from prison. Her body had suffered too much torture, like a campfire whose firewood was gradually being removed, and it could never return to the bright moments of the past. Lin Tan leaned against me, gasping for breath with difficulty. "Thank you, little master. Thank you for taking me in. I'm really happy." Someone once told me, "Those who haven't known suffering won't believe in gods and Buddhas." But I've endured so much suffering and still don't believe much. It was said that Fu Ruqing went into seclusion on the spot, feeling disgusted. From me, her voice gradually weakened and finally faded into silence. I hugged her body tightly and said hoarsely, "I know. I knew the cause and effect of the tragedy, who the person she mentioned was, and that from then on, there was someone living in my heart. This life came too late. Will we be able to meet in the next life?" When I opened my eyes again, I was back in the past. When I received the call from Lin Tan's parents, my heart was pounding wildly, and I was already prepared to refuse. However, the name they mentioned was Lin Tan's. I immediately drove to the Lin family. Under the dazzling crystal lights, Lin Tan smiled brightly and retorted Lin Rua with veiled sarcasm at the same time. I couldn't help but look at her. And I also wanted her to keep looking at me. There would be no more filthy things coveting my person. Those who had hurt her deserved to die, whether it was the bankruptcy of the Lin family or the collapse of the Liang family. I had a hand in it. Next, I dealt with Liang Yiming, Lin Rua, and that man surnamed Li one by one. I won't let them die easily, because sometimes living is more painful than dying. That night, I was finally able to hold Lin Tan in my arms openly, in the name of a lover. She was curious about where my deep affection came from. I will spend my whole life answering. It came from the previous life.